This is the Rough and Tumble podcast, episode 6. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the content, please follow us on Instagram. We just reached 100 followers. I think we're at 105 now. So that's a big landmark for us. And then make sure you subscribe to our Patreon. We've got a goal of $100 a month right now. We're getting closer, actually. We're almost like a quarter of the way, which is huge for us. I didn't think that we'd actually get anybody on Patreon, so that's great. We're finally on iTunes, so you can check us out on iTunes. Make sure you review and rate that, please. We're trying to get some more rates and reviews and so on and so forth on iTunes. You can listen to us and check us out on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and Spotify, as well as Instagram. And I think that's really the only social media that we have. This episode, we'll be talking about the martial art Coreeda, which is an Aboriginal martial art out of Australia. We'll be talking about that as well as some other things that happened this week. And let's get into the episode.
You're listening to the Rough and Tumble podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I had a question I wanted to start off with.
Go for it.
I wanted your opinion on this as a military personnel and black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
There she is.
There it is.
There she is.
Okay. Where do you feel like the average untrained man, and I want you to ask me this back because I have an answer for this.
Okay.
So we're playing volleyball right now. Where do you think the average untrained man is the most combat ready?
Can you clarify what you mean by that? So when you say the average untrained man is the most combat ready,
Yeah.
how can you be combat ready when you're completely untrained?
Right. Where do you feel he is the most ready for like a fight? You know what I'm saying? Like an attack, anything. Just where do you feel like men
Skill wise?
would no. Where like geography, like location? What are you doing in your day-to-day things?
When would I be most likely prepared
where
for
you're
an
prepared
encounter?
for an encounter? There we go.
Oh,
that's
okay.
a much better way to
I got
word
you.
that question. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It would probably, I don't know. I mean, I'm always ready.
I feel like 90. Have you seen the Onion article where they're like 100% of men overestimate their fighting capabilities by like 1,000%?
Yes, it's true, man. Everybody like,
Easy.
I'm over here ripping things out of the wall.
Somebody's combat ready.
I told you I was always ready. We deal with that every day when we have new people coming into the gym.
Yeah.
You know, because if 10 people show up in the gym to try out a new class, of those 10, maybe 8 of them are people who are like, you know what? I've always wanted to do martial arts, so I thought I'd give this a try. And then the other 2 are guys that were like, yeah, I've been street fighting all my life, and so I'm pretty much ready for my black belt. And then those guys are the ones that get the huge dose because they're not in a humble place. So I definitely wouldn't say that those guys were ready for combat.
We should go into some of the stories of people that have. We'll save that for a little bit later because I want to get through this. But I've had some good stories of people coming in and
Thinking they were ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. I think every gym owner has.
I'll actually share a story as well once we get to that point because you and I talked about it last week. The guy that was like, I'm not looking for rank or nothing. You know, I don't care about rank. I just need to I just want to do private lessons and learn some submission.
Oh, yeah. The guy emailing you.
Yeah, I bumped him off to Wes, and then I saw Wes at the gym, and he was like, I'm not interested either.
Wes comes up, he's like, dude, he paid me like $1,500. Like, fuck.
Happens to me every time.
Okay, so I do have an answer about this because I've been thinking about it a lot.
I can tell because I have no answer.
I think at the urinal in a public restroom.
Yeah, I could see that.
Every single man on the planet, every male has a game plan for if somebody comes up behind you and attacks you at a urinal.
You know, since now that you've answered the question to give me a much better idea of what I wanted to say, I agree 100% because I don't even pee in the urinals though. I'm really bladder shy. And so I can't pee with somebody standing next to me.
Yeah.
And so I just go in the stalls all the time.
Yeah, I've told you my trick. You just close one eye and all you're thinking about is that you're closing one eye and then you go pee. It's
I got to
crazy.
start doing that again because there's been so many times where I go into a bathroom and there's a urinal. And I'm like, there's nobody going to come in here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to the urinal and I get ready to start peeing and I can feel it like on the precipice of my urethra about to come out. And then somebody comes in and I'm
goes,
like, God damn. Drip. And it sucks back in.
Yep.
And then I'm standing there and then they're standing there and then I can't, nothing's going to come out. And so I have two choices. I can either continue standing here while they leave, which is going to be super awkward, or I just pretend like I just finished peeing.
I always feel like I've done that before, and I always feel like I'm going to get busted. But then I think about it, I'm like, when have you ever seen somebody walk away from a urinal and you're like, that guy didn't piss.
That guy did not piss.
Everybody, that guy didn't pee. he faked it. Dirty phony.
You urinal faker, you.
Yeah, I think that the urinal, dude, I always look in the reflection of the metal.
Yeah.
For anybody coming up behind me, and I'm a spinning back elbow.
That makes sense.
Into a double leg through the bathroom stall.
When I'm at convenience stores, anytime I'm in line at a convenience store, I'm usually more vigilant, more
Honestly,
hyper-vigilant.
now I'm fucking Walmart. I'm like looking all over the place.
I know. Walmart's so big too.
I feel like, I don't want to go into that. I'm going to get angry and depressed. So, did you do anything interesting this week?
No, my weekend was probably a lot more boring than yours because the Shreveport AGF was this weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And you had one student, just one student.
I just had one student. He's been really pushing, competing really hard, trying to just get better.
Yeah, we're not allowed to mention his name, apparently.
He doesn't.
He doesn't want us anything to do with this podcast.
Or lose his job or credibility.
Although he listens to it and is a huge fan.
He literally won't stop talking to me.
You know what? Yeah, I saw him at the gym. He came over to Westside, and I saw him, and he wanted to tell me. He wanted to mention that when we had the conversation about the UK and Ireland and all that.
Yeah.
He said I was right. I don't remember what he said I was right about because anytime that someone says that you're right, I stop listening because I don't need to hear anything else.
I do too, actually.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm right.
But you weren't right.
He said I was.
I'm going to ask him about what. He's probably just telling you that to instigate an argument between us because that's what kind of person he is. Here's what we found out from our deep studies of the UK geography. Ireland is an island that's not attached to the UK.
That's correct. I learned that the UK is a series of I thought the UK was just London. I didn't know that the United Kingdom was like the United States.
Well, London is a city.
Yeah, and I thought that was just another name for London. It was just like, where are you from? London? Oh, the UK?
Oh,
that's
UK.
cool, man.
You could get away with that in conversation.
Yeah, and that's why it's happened for so many years because when I followed up with, oh, yeah, from the UK, that's like somebody saying, oh, you're from the United States. Well, yeah, I'm right, but I've been wrong about the reason I was right for years.
Right. Yeah, we got that all fucked up. Yeah, I went to AGF Shreveport, saw Chris Carlino.
Shout out to Chris
Shout
Carlino.
out to Chris Carlino. He runs the AGFs and has always been really cool to me.
He's a black belt as well. He got his black belt last year before last.
Speaking of which, Dean, I don't know if you know Dean.
Dean Lamb?
Yeah, no. Dean Lyons.
Dean Lyons.
You call him Dean Lamb?
Sometimes I only know people's Instagram names.
I don't think that's even his Instagram name.
It's not. I have another friend named Dean Lamb on there. And when I saw that he got his black belt, I was like, oh, we're probably going to talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
I better get his name right.
Well,
I just know him as Dean. I don't know people's last names.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's been
but he is a good dude.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw him at the submission only tournament that they had in Little Rock not too long ago. He was there. He was coaching
Josh. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we were allowed to say his name. If we
Shit.
just bleep that out, like find a way to go and bleep that out.
It was Josh Richard Stevenson.
Josh O'Houlihan.
Yeah, Josh Richard Stevensonberg.
And so, he was coaching him. And I didn't coach Dean, but I kind of coached Dean years ago when we were both brown belts.
Yeah.
He was fighting one of our guys, and one of our guys was going for a submission that, in my opinion, was not there. Mm-hmm. And So I looked at Dean and I said, "It's okay, man. Don't worry about it. There's nothing there." And he's like, "I know." And then I yelled at my student and said, "Dude, just fucking let it go. Like you're not, what you're doing is not working." And then afterwards, Dean was like, "Thanks, man. I appreciate that."
That was really tight. Yeah, no, Chris Carlino saw him and he said he checked out the podcast. He really liked it. And then
He's just saying that.
yeah, he is. He's that kind of guy. There were actually there's some pretty good wrestlers at that tournament. I was impressed. I didn't think that I would see that many of like a lot of just like pure wrestlers too. I was impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, so Shreveport's my hometown. That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
That's
it's a shithole, by the way.
Yeah, it's an absolute
I'm
shithole.
sorry. Shout out to everybody in Shreveport. But
It's okay.
Get the hell out of there.
At no point did I say it was God's country. It's just my hometown. I love the place, but I'm familiar with it. But yeah, we didn't have much of a wrestling program growing up. My freshman year is when wrestling started in my area where my high school got a wrestling team. I wrestled my freshman year. Didn't like it. I wasn't athletic back then. Not that I am now. But back then, I did stuff for different reasons. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a wrestler. Because I was 125 pounds. I just wanted to be a badass. And then I was like, this is fucking hard.
Yeah.
So I just went back to playing guitar instead.
Yeah, wrestling was really hard. I did it my freshman year.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Arkansas where they didn't have wrestling.
Got a great program now,
That was the only sport that I would have been like all in. I played football, soccer, all of it. I couldn't do it. It was just, I can't get into team sports, you know? Like
I'm the same way.
I didn't lose. You guys did.
Yeah,
I didn't even fucking play.
That was my whole football career, actually. The whole year I played football, it was mostly, we were winning games, which I took credit for because I was on the team. So we won a lot of games.
Did you watch any of the UFC?
Nope, I did not. I was at a wedding reception all night last night, Saturday night. And so I wasn't in any place to watch the fights.
Good, we can do another one of our famous recaps because I haven't watched it.
Perfect. Yeah, because I
watched the highlights of it. And
Adesanya was fighting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Whitaker.
We talked about him on the episode before where we're talking about the evolution of MMA and how guys like him and Tim Sylvia. That's
the last person on the list.
It is. As far as, no, he was super innovative. Tim Sylvia got popped for steroids, and when they asked him about it, he said, "I just wanted to have a fighter's body."
Yeah.
Like, he was doing it for aesthetic reasons. That's so sad.
Well, you've heard
so
stories
sad.
have you heard the stories about him at, what was that gym that they all trained at? That
Pat Milicich's
Pat
gym?
Milicic.
Yeah.
Have you heard the stories about him?
They like just beat the shit out of him and like made fun of him all the time.
They would like just put him in the corner and make him jump rope an entire practice because he couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
He was just like too unathletic.
Yeah, it was it was heartbreaking, Lan, because I remember when I heard the story, and he's just like, I wasn't trying to do it to cheat. He's like, I was basically just tired of looking fat.
Yeah, that's
Like,
sad, dude.
I know. Like, everybody else is taking steroids to be a better athlete, you know?
He's
just like, I just want to look better with my shirt off. He was probably lobbying Dana White to say, is it cool if I just come out in a rash guard?
Yeah.
Like, he's like the fat kid at the pool that doesn't take his shirt off.
There's so many there's dads that do that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not one of them.
Oh, we've had a couple of milestones this past week since episode 5. Really, episode 5 was huge. That was our like our biggest episode, I think.
That's what I've been hearing. I had a lot of people hit me up on Instagram, giving props and kudos. One of my buddies, Braden, that I train with at Westside, he tagged me and gave some really cool kudos about the podcast, which I was really happy to see.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we went from 85 followers the day we recorded, and then within 3 or 4 days, we're at 105, 106.
Yep,
So-
and just for 100 followers, I got a new sound clip for us, a new sound effect.
No, do you?
I'm really excited.
I haven't
Mitch
heard it.
texted me before he came in, and he said he was like in a really bad mood, and he was sad and just not really into it today. And so I was like, how can I like find a sound effect that will match his mood? Because I don't want to necessarily make it better. I just want to go with the flow.
Just make it the same.
You know? And I was like, how can I find a sound effect that will match that? And that's the one.
At first, I was like, why does that song sound familiar? And why does it feel so right?
Hold on one more time.
There's two. And so is that somebody playing it with their nose?
Yeah, it's the kid. I had to go on YouTube, download the video of the kid blowing into two recorders with his nose, then put it into my editing software, export it, then put it on my iPad.
Worth it.
Totally worth it just for that moment. Oh man, I love
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, because as soon as I heard it play, I was like, there's two recorders in that recording.
Yeah.
And the only way I know people can do that is with their nose. It's the only place where you can blow air out of two holes in your body at the same time, other than, well.
Yeah.
I know some girls can do it.
Yeah.
Some girls can do it.
I saw a show in St. Louis where dude, okay. I've got to tell this story because it ties in everything that we like to talk about in this podcast. Strippers,
Yep.
jiu-jitsu,
Yep.
and inappropriate things.
Nailed it.
So I was reffing for Naga, and they did a tournament in St. Louis, and we go up there, and there's apparently the referees that had been there previously were like all talking about, dude, we got to go across the river tonight. Like, we're gonna go across the river, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. And actually, Rolly had left me. He had dropped me these two English dudes that I was taking up there, Rajit and Liam. And so they were with me, and I was like, okay, I got to show these guys a good time, so we're going to go get into trouble with whatever they're doing. They go to a place called Brooklyn, Illinois.
I've heard of it.
It's got it's like a steel mining town. It's got a population of maybe like 500, and half of it is strip clubs.
That's really
It's
awesome.
insane. Like,
That's how most military towns are.
there's an entire like city block. I'm not talking about like Conway City block. I'm talking about like New York City size block of
Just strip clubs.
just strip clubs.
I remember the first strip club that I ever went to. It was called the Jaguar Club. It's really the name of it.
Yeah.
And so when I was stationed in Texas, I was stationed in Abilene, Texas for 4 years, my first duty assignment. And there was it was like in this, I think it wasn't Sweetwater, but it was right outside of Abilene, Texas. It was called the Jaguar Club. And the thing about it in Texas was they had one strip club in town in Abilene, and then they had one that was outside of town. And the difference is that in town, it was topless only, but you could drink beer. Mm-hmm. When you would go outside of town to the Jaguar Club, it was full nude, but they weren't allowed to serve alcohol. So you had to bring your own.
Yeah.
And it was totally,
that.
it wasn't like, oh, we have to sneak a cooler in. It was like, no, you're allowed to bring your own beer in because we can't serve it here. And so I always described it as like, what it felt like you were going to a friend's house to just hang out and drink beer, whose sister was also a stripper, and like,
Which is awesome.
Which is exactly my fantasy.
Yeah.
And I had this stripper, she sat down on my lap, and which I was already grossed out about, right? Mm-hmm. And she goes, oh my God, what do you do? And I said, at the time I was an aircraft mechanic. So I said, I work on airplanes. And she goes, oh my God, is that what you've always wanted to do? And I said, is this what you've always wanted to do? And then she got up and walked off. But I'm sure she was working herself through nursing school or med school,
whatever,
or, some prestigious thing. There's a doctor out there. I read a story, and that's actually how she paid for med school.
There's probably a
in
bunch of
Vegas.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was a stripper, and now she's a super smart person.
Hey, dude, do you remember that time that I started telling a story about a strip club and then you interrupted me with yours?
I thought your story was over.
It pretty much was. I just wanted to use that.
There's a very particular student of yours that's going to bring this up the next time you see her.
Oh, man. Yeah, strip clubs are fun. Not really, actually. I think they're gross.
I'm not a fan of strip clubs.
When I lived
actually.
in California, and California's got great ones because you get all like the people that go out there, girls that go out there try to be actresses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up in the strip clubs.
Which is awesome.
We went to the Spearmint Rhino. And
the Spearmint Rhino is the name of the club?
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
we snuck in my friend Jordan, who trains at Autos now, is a blue belt at Autos. And we snuck him in before he was 18.
The craziest thing that, actually not the craziest, but the saddest situation I've ever been involved in that involved a strip club was when I was single a couple of years ago, probably, about 6 or 7 years ago. my buddy was dating a bartender at Paper Moon. So she was a former stripper. She gave up stripping to become a bartender at Paper Moon. And it's Sunday, and he's like, hey, I'm going to go hang out with my girlfriend at Paper Moon. You want to come with me? I was like, yeah, I'll go with you.
Oh, that's weird.
It's super weird to go to a strip club on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So we get there, and we're just drinking beers. But there's like 2 people in the strip club, and the DJ is still required to announce the strippers.
Yeah.
Even though there's nobody in there. And the strippers still have to come out and dance for nobody. Like,
right.
It was the weirdest thing, because I look around and I'm like, it's like, welcome to the stage, Cinnamon. And I'm looking, I'm like, who is welcoming her? There's there's nobody here. And one of the girls had a really acrobatic dance where she's like going all over. I'm like, oh, that sucks, because like, what if she gets a sport related injury?
Yeah.
For nobody, and now she can't compete.
Right.
You know, like now she can't
Make money.
Yeah,
She's got to work around it.
she's got. How'd you hurt your leg? It was a sports related injury.
Yeah. A sport that involves a pole.
Yeah,
Oh, you were pole vaulting? That's wonderful.
you're close.
I had, so yeah, we started to recap UFC 243, and then we completely.
Oh, were we? I
diverted.
thought we were still talking about AGF.
Honestly, I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Did you listen to that podcast that I told you to listen
I did.
to? Is that not the
Dude,
fucking funniest thing?
Yeah,
in the
his
world?
mom was hilarious.
Tiger Belly podcast. If everybody's seen
Bobby Lee's.
Bobby Lee, yeah.
He's a comedian, really funny. Yeah, his mom was super funny because she doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He kept saying fuck, and she goes, no fucking.
No fucking.
We say nice words. Oh man, it makes me wish I had an Asian mom. You don't have an Asian mom, do you?
Mm-mm. I tried to find one.
Damn it.
I had so listening to that podcast, it reminded me of a story that a buddy of mine told me. Because it was his wedding reception this weekend, actually, and so I got to meet his mom and stuff. And he had told me this story about when him and his brother were younger. They were like little kids, and they were taking a bath together. His brother took a shit in the bathtub, and they were freaking out because they were like, "Oh no! Like, what are we gonna do?" Now, if I shit in the bathtub, I'm just gonna take the turd and put it in the toilet. But their mindset at the time was, we have to hide this turd.
Oh yeah.
And so they wrapped it in a sweater and put it in their mom's sweater drawer.
Oh my God.
And she never told anybody, you know, like they never knew whether or not she found it. Like all these years they were like, man, we totally got away with it.
Yeah.
And then like they were talking about it one time and she was like, no, I found it. I just didn't feel like I should bring it up because I figured you'd be embarrassed about it.
What a sweet mom.
I know. And so when I saw her last night, I introduced myself and I said, yeah, I don't know if you saw the gifts on the table. I said, but I got Dave and Jess a turd wrapped in a sweater. And she didn't get the joke. And then so then we had to bring it up. And then she was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Like, how do you forget about the time that your kids took a shit in your sweater drawer?
Yeah. I have actually the same friend that trains at Autos. For his birthday, I had another friend. We all went to like Olive Garden or something. And another one of our friends got literally shit in a box and gave it and wrapped it and gave it to him at Olive Garden as a present.
Dude, I worked at a catfish restaurant before I joined the military, and we would do pranks and stuff back and forth. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, this is enough.
Yeah.
Because same thing. Like what it started out as is we would take like raw fish and put it in people's cars and hide it in places where like they couldn't find it. And then a couple of days later, because a lot of people only worked weekends.
Yeah.
And so you'd do it like on a Saturday night, and then they would come back to work the following weekend and they would smell like dead fish, right? Well, my friend Brunson had a catfish put in his car, and he was like, oh, this fucking guy. My buddy Matt, who worked in the kitchen, is the one that did it. And so then Brunson took a shit in a to-go box.
Oh, no.
And then left it in Matt's truck. And then Matt found it, and instead of the next escalation was he took the box of shit and then threw it at Brunson's window, and it stuck, and then he smeared it in.
Oh.
So he had shit smeared all over his front windshield. And then Brunson said it sucked because he went to the car wash and he had to wash it all off. but when the water drains down, it like drains down past like the air vents and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so anytime he'd turn his air conditioner on,
just smells like
it just
shit.
smelled like shit.
Ugh.
And that's when they were like, all right, truce. This is enough.
too far. I was gonna try and figure out how to tie that story into our Patreon shout outs, but I don't think
I don't think we can. I think we're just gonna have to go straight up with the shout out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to raw dog it. So our Patreon shout outs. We had today's girl episode, ladies episode.
Yeah.
We have Rachel, Nicole, and Joy. All three are newest Patreon subscribers.
And Joy is one of my former students. She's in the Navy. She's stationed in Virginia now, but she's in school in San Diego. So that was really cool to see. She's a huge fan of the podcast. Not to say that the other two aren't. I just don't know who they are.
Rachel and Nicole are completely random people that I don't know and
Really?
have no.
Oh, damn it.
They're both students, soon to be former students of mine.
Did you kick them out of the gym?
Yeah, I'm about to. Both of them.
But I need you to continue to donate to the Patreon. Like, don't let your shit with Johnny affect me.
No, they're both great. Nicole, my gym would not exist if it weren't for Nicole.
Is that the one you were talking about that's helping us out?
Yeah, she's dude, she's insane. I adore her. She's great. She tried to get me one time on my like Instagram stories. I'll ask, I'll have people ask me questions or whatever just because I'm bored and want attention. And she said, "What's the one thing that I do that annoys the shit out of you?" I was like, support me and financially and every other way.
She was asking, what's the one thing that
she does that annoys me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, like, what can I say?
You don't give me more money?
Yeah. Like, you literally have been the source of my survival for the past 6 years. So yeah, she's great. Rachel is too. She's great. And so is Joy. And Joy's wonderful. I don't know her. She's wonderful.
Something that we were talking about earlier when we were discussing the AGF stuff. So you mentioned that he who remained nameless.
Oh yeah, here's what happened. The full thing that happened in that tournament is he went out to do a no-gi tournament and he got paired up right away, like very first match, and he knew this going into it, with a black belt pro MMA fighter from Kazakhstan, and apparently the dude was like legendary status.
Obviously. But how did he lose?
He rear naked choke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
the worst.
Honestly, like, in my opinion, I think that he would have fared much better had he pushed to his pace, a little bit of, I don't know necessarily that the result might have been different, but had he like pushed his pace and gone like I know that he can, I think he would have fared much better. And he kind of fell for the classic mistake. Somebody was asking me, it was Alex was asking us when we were talking about Buchecha, Hodger Gracie, their second match. This exact mistake happened. Hodger Gracie took Buchecha's back. Buchecha starts reaching for the hooks to get rid of the hooks. Meanwhile, Hodger's setting up the choke.
Yep.
And I've been struggling with that too. As soon as somebody takes it back, I want to get rid of the hooks so that I can get out of there. And you're not thinking about the choke when you damn well should be thinking about that.
Yeah, that's how Eric Ingham choked me. And so the thing about those divisions is they've come a long way, and there's no right answer. I get it. Like, there's no right answer for that. Because me personally, and I've talked to the guys at HEF about my opinion. But then again, I'm just one person, and it is what it is. But I've always looked at it like their divisions are fine. I just think that you should have a black belt only division as well.
Yeah.
And then
it should be open. I do think that it should be open for, like say purple belt and up to sign up for the black belt division.
Knowing what you're getting into.
If they choose, yeah.
Yeah, but see, I guess the reason I disagree with that is because
it would chase a lot of black belt competitors away. Right. Some purple belts were going in. I get that.
Yeah. And it's not that, people can say, what? Oh, your ego can't handle the fact that you're going to get beat by a purple belt.
Yes, exactly.
Well, there's that. Absolutely. Right. And then the second piece is no, if I'm going to compete and lose, I would rather it be against another black belt.
Yeah, it sucks, dude.
You know,
it
it's
sucks to
nothing
get
against-
choked by.
Yeah.
Ask Cyborg.
Yes, the only person that wins is the purple belt.
Yeah.
Like, period.
No matter, even if
Even
you win.
if you win.
Yeah.
If I beat a purple belt, they're like, well, of course he was a fucking purple
I
belt.
actually, I almost had a MMA fight with Carol Parisian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was trying to set it up, and I was pushing it real hard, and they were offering it to him and everything. And it was one of those situations where it was a lose-lose situation
Yeah.
for him. If he beat me, I think it was like 5-2, maybe less than that, or in my record, I don't remember. But no, it would have been like 4-2 or something. But it was like, if you beat me, it's nothing. It's just a scrub. And then if he loses, then he's a nobody, and I suddenly.
And what if he gets injured even
get
more?
huge
And that's what
jump
those
off
guys
that.
think about is,
I don't think that he thinks about that. He like fucking smokes cigarettes.
oh, well, he is
During camps
like
and stuff.
Persian and stuff.
That guy is, yeah, I've heard, I don't know anything about him, but I've
Yeah.
heard that guy like is kind of a scumbag.
I've heard the same, but then again, I don't know him.
I've also heard he's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the best like pure talents in that era of MMA.
And his cousin, Manny Gamburian, is actually pretty
he was
good.
really good too.
But his biggest thing, I think, was the fact that he was built like a Smurf.
Yeah, another giant douche.
Yeah.
He fought Jose Aldo.
Manny Gamburian did?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at WEC. Way
didn't
back
know
in the
that.
day. I was a big fan of WEC. I really enjoyed the lighter weight classes.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that for sure. Yeah, the UFC definitely pushes the middleweight, welterweight, and heavyweight stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think
They've gotten better about it in
They
the
have.
past years though.
I think it's coming from because the boxing world. Dana White came from the boxing world
Yeah.
and stuff, and that's what everybody wanted to see, the heavyweight champions fight. You know,
So they want
didn't
to see knockouts.
Yeah, exactly. So I get it.
Back to our Jesus. We've circled around to this 4 times. We're never going to get through a whole
I'm trying to keep you on
topic
track.
in one go. Yeah, I agree with you on
The division.
the divisions.
Yeah.
I there's not really any disagreement there. Daniel got caught with this one. I think we've talked about it, where he had to fight Rolly
Mm-hmm.
in a tournament when he was a purple belt. It's like Rolly's been a black belt as long as we've been training.
Yep.
It's like it's not really a fair matchup. Not to say that like, I mean like there's blue belts and purple belts out there that have the skill to take out black belts and
Easily.
so on and so forth, and no gi and gi whatever, but it's just not a. It's not a like my purple belt that went to compete. He went there to grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to grow as a competitor, learn, and try to keep stacking up experience, so that when he does get his black belt, he has that behind him.
Correct.
And I do want him to feel some black belts here and there, and I think that he can beat a lot of black belts. But I also want him to get adequate experience and at each level.
Right. And I know that for the AGF guys, it's a double-edged sword, because you make a black belt only division. What happens when only one black belt shows up?
Yeah, and that's a big
Who do
problem.
they fight?
Mhm.
So I get it. Like from a
And
business
you have the no
standpoint,
gi people too that like just have never done
Yeah.
gi, have no.
they are, and they're not even ranked, and
Yeah.
so now they're using that years of experience to determine what division they go into.
Right.
So that's why I said in the beginning, there's no answer to it. It's one of the reasons I compete at the IBJJF events, is because I know I'm fighting a group of black belts, regardless if it's gi or no gi.
Maybe it should be like a because right now they do 5 years and up.
Mhm.
That's like the cap of the division. Maybe like a 5 to 8 years, and then
Yeah. Or 7 and up, I don't.
something
Again,
like that.
you
'Cause-
get into that weird space, like you said, where what if a guy's been wrestling for 15 years?
Yeah, it is a
but
a
he's,
struggle.
yeah. So it's like I said, there's no right or wrong.
Where I
wrong way
think
to
I
put it.
see, I see what they were attempting to do whenever they set up those divisions, though,
Mm-hmm.
because you remember, they don't do this anymore, I don't think, but they did Abu Dhabi rules in no gi.
Yeah,
when
and
they
originally,
started
in the
off.
beginning, yeah, for
And
sure.
so that might have been how. Maybe we'll get Chris on here and he can clarify
Yeah.
those divisions, but I could see maybe that's why they set it up that way. Is Abu Dhabi, you see blue belts,
Oh yeah,
you see kids fighting adults, you know?
I actually kind of missed that rule set, because when I competed at AGF as a purple, when they first came to Little Rock, they were doing those rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I fought PJ Bonner, who was at the time was bigger than me and was a pro MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And I remember I was a guard player back then, but it was hard to you didn't care about getting your guard passed because there was no points for the first half of the event, you know? So you could literally get smashed the first half of the event and it not matter as long as you didn't get submitted.
Mm-hmm.
And then once points came in, you could really open up, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that it was causing stagnation where people got to the point where they didn't care about getting scored on, so much so that they just hung out and waited for the score to come in.
Yeah, that's where the issue is, really, is that figuring that part out, how to keep the action moving. I think taking little pieces, a little bit like what we've been talking about with different martial arts, finding little pieces that work within the rule sets, to maybe add and take away from what we're doing could change things. I don't know anything in particular, but
yeah. Well, the combat wrestling events that I've done
there
in
you
the
go.
past,
Like we've talked about that. Yeah,
like that rule set is designed to push the pace. I mean, in fact, you're almost penalized for doing anything other than takedowns.
Judo's a little bit of the same thing. Like if you, I don't remember what the rules are.
It's like 30 seconds on the ground, then they stand you back up.
Yeah, and even in stand-up, like you have to be pushing the pace. There's some rule to it. I don't know what it is. I tried watching a judo match and understanding the rules, and it's
unless you're watching
impossible.
Like some phenom, they're actually kind of boring.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lot of push pull, push pull, push pull, push pull, and then somebody gets an ippon. You're like, oh, okay, cool.
I've been reading the Kodokan of judo too, and it's boring as fuck. God, I keep downloading these books, and I'm like, dude, this is gonna be incredible. Like the book I told you, Choke.
Right.
I can only read it on airplanes. That's how boring it is. When I'm trapped 20,000 feet in the air
and have nowhere else to go.
I have nothing else to do. That's the only time I can bring myself to read it.
Actually, I had a copy of Fight Club, the book.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving it on an airplane on accident. And I just remember thinking how
some guy just got added a Fight Club.
Yeah.
I have books in that closet that I picked up.
Like how me accidentally leaving that and then someone else finding it is exactly the way the author planned for that book to get, sent. You know what I mean?
True, yeah.
And I just remember thinking how cool it was. It sucked though because I wasn't finished with it yet.
I think I picked up a copy of 50 Shades of Grey like that one time.
Because you've had a boner ever since.
I used to work for an airline, and that's how I got to travel so much. Whenever I was an MMA fighter, is I worked for an airline and I got free flights pretty much anywhere in the world. Went to Brazil and back on business class for $50.
I work for an airline as well. It's a different airline.
Yours is different.
And I do get to fly for free all the time. We just always come back to Little Rock. And don't,
yeah, you don't get to go
never
anywhere.
go anywhere unless I'm deployed, you know. And even then, you're like, I kind of want to hurry up and get back to where we were.
What a great trip.
Yeah.
I forgot. Oh yeah, but that's very, very, very common. I think it's probably gone down recently, but like people forget stuff, their phones, their iPads, their Beats, their books, their food, whatever, anything. They'll forget them in those pockets.
That's exactly what I did.
You will never see it again.
Nope.
You can be at the gate, ask the person to go. Sometimes you'll catch them. You'll get the honest one that'll go on and hasn't found the phone yet. So they'll go on and be like, oh yeah, I found it in this seat. And then other times the person will go on and start cleaning, put it in their pocket and be like, hey, I left my phone down there. I'm like, oh, sorry, we didn't see anything.
I'm sorry, we looked. Well, it says on my iPhone, it says that it's actually in my pocket right now. And you're the only one standing next to me.
Yeah, we had like a lot of people that were like taken out in cuffs because of that. Yeah. There were people that were trying to figure out. And this was before the Apple Watch and iPads were just becoming popular. So people were just swiping those like crazy.
I've never had a phone stolen.
Really?
Yeah, I hope I don't start today.
We had this lady that worked for us that she stole a phone, took it home. The people found it on there where my iPhone is. They called the police. The police showed up and they were like, hey, like we see it on the thing. It's here. And you work at the airline. Right. So this adds up. And so they started looking through the house and they found it wrapped in tinfoil and a barbecue grill in the backyard.
Oh my God.
Like that's where she was trying to hide it. Yeah.
That's funny that she wrapped it in tinfoil thinking that like the signals couldn't get in or out.
Yeah. At least like throw it in your purse and be like, oh my God, it just fell in there, I guess.
It fell in my purse.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways, that's my story about airlines. Don't leave shit on
You're never going to get it back.
You'll never get that back.
Yeah. We do the same thing with we battle the crew chiefs all the time. you know, because part of my job is going out and pre-flighting aircraft before we take off for missions.
You're like, I
And,
stole your gun.
Yeah. No, it's always like Oakley's or like they always,
yeah.
they cannot wait. Like, because I mean, as aircrew, we get some pretty cool stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a $350 Oakley bag that my unit bought for me to use. You know,
nice,
it's a super nice bag. And believe me, there's crew chiefs that are like foaming at the mouth, waiting. Oh man, I hope he leaves it on the airplane.
Yeah.
It's mine now. You know, and a lot of times they'll hold it hostage for beer. So like you'll go into ops and be like, hey man, did you guys find that backpack? Maybe. Fuck. Like, all right, dude, what's your favorite beer? And they're like, oh, you know, Yingling or whatever. And then you're like, all right, I'll bring it to you, and then I'll get my bag back. Like they'll hold your shit hostage for beer.
Good.
They're fucking monkeys, man.
That's how it should be.
I love all my crew chiefs though.
I did a little bit of studying on our martial art.
On Coreeda? Of course I did.
Coreeda,
I'm
yeah.
always way more prepared than you are.
I wouldn't say it that way.
It's only been the last episode.
I was actually prepared for this episode.
Good.
I had a big week, man. I got a new phone, and
Yeah.
I got rid of the iCrack app.
Your phone was so fucked up.
Yeah.
It was so...
I told you how I broke it, right? A bug flew on me, and it was a cicada, and I was standing on a concrete porch. My friends were out there with me, and to them, it just looked like I just freaked out and spiked my phone. I was like, ah, fuck, bam, and threw it on the ground. and yeah, a cicada flew like, just fucking like you know how those things are, dude? When they land on you, it's like their talons like get in you, and it hit me, and I was like, ah, I just freaked out and like threw my phone. Yeah,
that's
and
hilarious.
It broke. Now I have a nice new pretty phone. Every time I get one though, I'm like, oh dude, this is gonna be game changing. It's got like a bigger screen, and then you start looking at it, and you're like, oh, it's really not anything different.
You get used to the size, and I remember I had an iPhone 3, which was, you know, like one of the first iPhones. Surprisingly,
well, actually one of the third.
See, I don't know that there was an iPhone 1 or 2. Was there?
There was definitely an iPhone, like just iPhone.
And then, okay,
surely they came out with an iPhone 2.
I don't know about that.
The first iPhone, you remember, it had like it had a two-tone back on it. It had like the gray, and then the top or the bottom portion was black or something like that.
Don't remember it. My first smartphone was an iPhone 3. And I just remember how excited I got because I went from a Razr phone to an iPhone 3. And when I was going to college at Euler, I used to go into the bathroom between class to jerk off. And I'd have to look at porn. I'd have to go into the bathroom and look.
You're going to get your diploma taken away. They're going to... Can we have that back?
I used to... I was on a Razr phone, and so like I'd have to like, you know, when you type in like, you'd have to keep it simple because you couldn't put in like what you can now. Like if I go to the porn site now, I'm typing in like hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that iPhone. I shouldn't have said hardcore stuff. That came out wrong. What I meant was you distracted me because you showed me that picture, and I stopped thinking about what I was trying to say.
I was showing you hardcore stuff on my phone. It was the first iPhone.
And I just went from 6 to midnight.
Yeah.
But I would, you know, now I type in, you know, very specifics, you know.
Now
like,
it's Reddit. Get on
as well.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's the new Pornhub.
I type in like, you know, like Latina brunette with mole on left butt cheek, you know. But back then you couldn't do that. And so I had this Razr flip phone, and I don't know if you remember, but when you used to send text messages, you had to go like click, 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 click. It was like Morse code. So I had to keep it simple. So I just had to type in tits.
Yeah.
Because it would take me too long to type out whatever I just said. And I just remember how excited I was when I got my first iPhone 3 because I was like, oh my God, those jerk sessions at Euler are going to be so much better now.
This is going to be game changing.
This screen is going to be so huge. And then the iPhone 4 came out, and I was even more excited because I was like, the screen's even bigger, you know? And now I have an iPhone 7, and I don't even look at porn anymore.
Yeah, I'm over it.
I know.
It's been a good phone. It's like, I like the camera on it. That's pretty sweet.
That was what really got me whenever you showed me the video that you filmed.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you would use the GoPro.
The coolest thing about it is like, it's got a wide angle lens on it, which is cool. And it gets really good picture. But what's neat to me is like, I filmed that in my class, or right after a very full class. There are people like all around talking, and it's still pretty noisy in the video, even the one I put on Patreon. But the camera, or the phone has a thing where it will focus the microphone only on what's in the frame of the camera. So it's not picking up any of a lot of the outside sound.
Yeah.
It works a lot like our microphones here.
Yeah.
Like if I stand to the side of it, if I'm over here, you don't hear me as well.
Right.
But same kind of thing with that. And from what I understand, not a lot of phones have that.
That's super cool.
And so I was able to get like good audio out of it, which was really impressive.
I feel bad for the women of the world right now because of this. Because a lot of
Because they're not allowed to have iPhones?
No, because they don't realize, you don't realize how ugly dicks are until you see them in high resolution.
I saw the best tweet about that. It said, with this new iPhone 11, we're not taking dick pics anymore.
Nope.
We're taking Richard pictures. Richard photographs. That's what it was.
Dude.
Hold on. I'm about to send a Richard photograph.
You just like, because even when I look at my own dick, like it's still a little out of focus.
Yeah.
You know, like, but with the resolution on these cameras, like chicks are going to be getting dick pics, and it's just going to be like you can actually see like
You can see the AIDS.
you can you can see the breakout beginning. Like you
Yeah.
normally don't see herpes until it's already full blown, but with this camera, you can see it when it's just in the beginning stages.
You can see the HPV.
Is that yeah? That's awesome.
Okay, moving on back to
You can see the HPV.
this sacred and traditional art of Coreeda.
Coreeda, yeah. So Coreeda was,
Aboriginal.
yeah, and in Australia they turned it into a sport. So around like 96, 98, they actually started developing it into a sport. It's a folk style wrestling, but it has origins in combatives, though.
Yeah, I saw a lot of parallels, and I started thinking too. One of the things that I want to do, I didn't do it with this one. I just didn't have enough time. I want to start writing out a criteria for each of these martial arts that we've been studying. For instance, like the easiest one would be, is it a stand-up or a grappling martial art, right? And then like this one is primarily a grappling martial art,
Right.
with some elements of, we could say stand-up, grappling, or mixed.
Sure.
Those would be the three criteria. And then the next one would be like, where's the fight take place? Is it in a ring? In this case, it's another
Parking lot.
circle. Yeah.
It is in a circle.
And honestly, a parking lot could be it. A prison cell, like we've
52
talked about.
blocks,
Yeah,
right?
we've talked about
Absolutely.
these things. So, if you're thinking about self-defense, you could theoretically make a martial art designed around a parking lot as
Or the corner of a room,
yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, have you ever read the Jackson's martial arts books?
Mm-mm.
Greg Jackson. In the back of his striking one, he's got some stuff on self-defense that's pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's talking about like actually backing yourself into a corner is a good thing
Because
whenever
it's
you have
one less avenue.
Nobody
Yeah.
can come up behind you. Or anything
Yeah.
like that.
And in military terms, and my military buddies are going to make fun of me for this, but basically you're covering your six is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And so
It makes sense, and it's just like whenever you when you do anything, keep something to your back so that nobody can sneak up behind you.
you don't want to get that butthole tight.
Right. I learned that in Call of Duty. My tours in Call of Duty.
Those count, man. Like I've actually had conversations with people who have used that as a way to talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, well, yeah. So it's just like, yeah. I mean, like I've played Call of Duty, so I have a pretty good idea what you go through. I'm like, really? That's it, huh?
But
You've got it all figured out.
Well, obviously, like people don't have it figured
But they
out.
believe this.
Oh, yeah.
Like there are people that think that they're actually snipers because they've played a sniper in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like they
that's
don't.
stupidity.
I know I've talked to people that are super gun nuts, but don't own guns because of their Call of Duty experiences.
I probably know more about weapons because of
Just
Call
because
of
of that,
Duty.
yeah. Probably more than I do. You know?
Halo weapons are real, right?
They are. They're needler.
Yeah. You guys use those in the Army?
Well,
Air Force?
can't talk about it, but yes. Yeah, my tours in Call of Duty.
Wait. Okay, fuck this martial art for just a second.
Okay,
'cause I just realized I have a great question
Okay.
that needs to be asked. But it's gonna be segued with a story about myself.
It's
It was a dark and stormy night. I'm just kidding. So I had realized that like when we do these podcasts, I'm always like, oh, we got to be new and original, and it has to be brand new ideas that nobody's ever thought of, right? And then I'm thinking like, dude, I can literally just read off of Reddit and people would find that interesting. Like
Fact.
people, there's a podcast of that's actually just people like reporting on interesting things they found on Reddit.
Really?
And I forget they're like, we can talk about whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, we
and
kind
I
of
can
own this.
even talk about something that somebody else talked about because you haven't heard me talk about it yet.
That's correct.
And that's what's important. Anyways, okay, so Joe Rogan podcast, they were talking to an Air Force pilot.
Yeah, commander. Yeah,
They had
I was
seen the
listening
UFOs.
to it. Yep.
Yeah, the famous like naval or aerial footage.
Yeah, the account.
UFO.
I mean, it's actually like a real account. Yeah. What do you want to call it? The Department of Defense.
Real footage that they've actually found. Yeah, it's claimed as a UFO, which whenever you have to be careful about that because that doesn't necessarily mean that it's aliens. That just means
Correct.
that they were unable to
Unidentified.
identify.
Yeah.
So
Commander David Fravor is the guy's name.
okay. So what my question is with the Air Force, being in the Air Force, flying and stuff, have you ever seen anything? I doubt you've seen anything that you actually believe is UFO or extraterrestrial, but anything that maybe makes you question or that you'd be able to talk about. I don't know if you're able to actually talk about that stuff.
Never.
No. Okay. You've never seen anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Not even just in real life? Nothing extraterrestrial? Or
No. I do. I believe that there's extraterrestrials
yeah.
in existence.
Right. I do too.
The reality is that if you think about it, we're aliens on this planet.
Right.
The reality of how we got here. You know, depending on what story you believe, whether you believe the Bible story, you believe the Big Bang Theory. But no, I haven't. I've never really experienced any sort of thing like that in all my years of flying. But I'm always looking.
Yeah, that would be. They'd be like, "Dude, you're supposed to be shooting. Hold on, there's like a
Just
UFO
wait a
over
second.
here."
Does no one else see this light in the sky?
Yeah, you're supposed to be taking out this target. Oh, but look at this.
I did think one time, there was a time where I thought that I was watching a UFO because when we fly missions, combat missions into Iraq, we go in blacked out. So we have night vision goggles on, and then all the aircraft lighting is out. It's super cool, and I love my job. Well, you're not the only airplane out there. You're not the only aircraft out there. And so there's times where like the lighting will not be optimal, and you'll catch little stuff out of the corner of your nogs, and they're blacked out. So you just see like this black figure flying through the sky.
Oh, I bet that'd be freaky.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I look around, I'm like, oh man, it's just
Nobody's ever seen UFOs in Iraq though.
no, because there's nothing there. Like, they don't do desert circles, like crop circles. Like
aliens are like, we already figured that out. Like, it's just sand. Move on.
They're just moving on. Yeah, so I've never. I'm looking all the time, and I've had a couple of situations where I thought that I was like, oh, this is the one. And it wasn't. It was just another airplane also blacked out coming back from someplace in Iraq. So
when I was a kid, we were at my grandpa's farm. This is the only time I've ever think that maybe I've seen something like that. But we were at my grandpa's farm. It was night, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, a bunch of city folks. So we're like staring at the stars. Oh my God, you can see all of them. And I remember very specifically, two stars. It looked like two stars that started moving. And we're like, oh, it's an airplane. But then they started chasing each other.
Oh, really?
Almost like if two, like, I don't know, like two bugs or something started chasing. I mean, they were changing direction at will and all of that. That was the only thing that happened. They didn't like zip off or disappear. We just started kind of watching them chase each other.
The constellations themselves weird me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever actually looked at the constellations? Like, how did 3 stars line up millions of years apart perfectly in a line?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It is.
It makes you think about the Truman Show, like, like we're not actually, like this is all just a television show that we're living in.
Oh, that'd be so rad.
I mean, we'll find out eventually when the show gets canceled, but but yeah, like I look at the constellations.
We're going to be on Netflix now.
We are. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like when you look at the constellations and you have like the Big Dipper, that shit looks like a fucking dipper.
But we'll always look for shapes in everything.
But that's a real
just human
shape.
Nature.
That's not even an accident. Like I'm not looking at a cloud and going, you know what? That kind of looks like a giraffe.
Yeah.
No, that shit looks like a fucking dipper.
And there's 2 of them.
And there's 2 of them, the big one and the little one. How's that fucking possible?
What TV show producer is like, all right, I got an idea, okay? In the stars, we're going to put a big ladle. Wait, no. Dipper. That's it. A big dipper.
And then the guy next to it wants to credit, so he's like, "Oh yeah, well I'm gonna put a little one next to it."
Yeah. Mine's gonna be bigger.
Yeah, it's really just two movie execs that got into a dick measuring contest. That's where the Big Dipper and Little Dipper came from. But it could be anything. They could have easily it could be computer guys do it all the time with fucking little hints of things in their little codes and stuff.
I think it's
Easter eggs. They call them Easter eggs.
I do think that we might be in a computer simulation.
Man,
that's a possibility.
That sucks. Here's why it sucks.
Because we're the NPCs.
What's that mean?
That's like the computer generated people that just the
I know, right?
The extras.
We're actually background.
We're not the main characters.
We're not even the main characters. That would fucking suck.
Or have you ever played Grand Theft Auto Online?
No.
Oh, dude, that's like one of my favorite games.
Yeah, I've never played it. I don't play video games.
Okay, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gamer. I enjoy them. I just get tired of getting my ass kicked by 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I just get pissed off and cuss at them.
Mm-hmm. I totally lost my train of thought. What we were.
We're not the main characters in this game.
Oh yeah, in Grand Theft Auto, I can go on as my character in each session. So you might be the main character
for the day,
for whoever's controlling you.
I got you.
You're their main character.
Yeah. So there's someone else. Like we're avatars.
Yeah, I'm the NPC in your story. You're the NPC in my story.
Isn't that an interesting perspective, man? Because like. We're always the most important people in our own stories.
Yeah.
But we're just background noises in other people's stories.
I always think about that on social media.
Yeah.
Because when I'll post something and I'm like, oh, that's kind of, like I'm goading on myself and I'm going on or whatever. And I think I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm the star of this show.
Yeah.
Like you're here to watch me, bitches.
That's right. Otherwise you wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah. I could just say whatever I want.
One of my friends, was a police officer in North Carolina. So talking about like this idea of living in a reality that's someone else's reality, right? Mm-hmm. So he was a police officer in North Carolina, and he was one of the first officers on scene when after the Dylan Roof incident. Which, if you're not familiar with the Dylan Roof incident, it was the young white supremacist kid who went into a black church and shot everybody, and then ran off. Yeah, they ended up catching him. Well. My buddy was one of the first officers on scene after that, right?
Right.
And he told me that it wasn't even really seeing the bodies and all that kind of stuff, which is will fuck with you. He said the big issue was for him was hearing all the cell phones of people who were calling their family members to check on them because they had heard about what happened.
The deceased.
Yeah. And so it was such an insane perspective to be on, where you're living in a reality that the people who are calling will soon be a part of, but aren't yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that family member is dead and they don't know it yet, but they will.
Heart-wrenching. Yeah. It's terrible.
But can you imagine at a certain time, you both will live in the same reality because they will be told the news, and then now they'll know their loved one is dead. Yeah. But for that hour, 2 days, whatever the case may be, you're living in a reality that will soon be theirs, but you were just in it first. Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
That's why that is a really crazy.
He said that really messed him up.
That's exactly why I'm not a cop, dude. I wouldn't. I'm one of those sensitive boys.
Yeah,
I can't handle that kind of shit. I can't even movies where there's killing or gore. I'm like, really? I'll hide my face.
I'm okay with that. The thing that I can't deal with, because I have 4 daughters, movies I can't deal with is anytime that a daughter is being hurt, a female little girl, like that movie Gone Baby, where I can't watch it all the way through.
That is a fucked up movie, man. Gone Baby Gone.
Yep, Gone Baby Gone. Yep. And then
that is a really messed up movie.
And then the movie Blow. Yeah. So there's nothing bad in that movie.
Just how that guy is with his daughter.
Yeah. And then seeing him get taken away from his daughter and her not understanding, because I went through similar situations with my daughters when I was going through my divorce and I got custody. There was a lot of things that they didn't understand. And then at the very end of the movie, it's just so sad because George's character is standing in prison and every day he's like, no, my daughter's coming to visit me today. My daughter. And then the subtitles come up or whatever and it says, George died in prison and his daughter never came to see him. Yeah. And he fucked it up so bad. Little things like that where I'm like, dude, I can't watch this. got to liven it up. We got to bring it back. It was getting depressing for a second there.
That was rough. We went into a deep place there for a minute. Okay, Coreeda.
So the thing about let's talk about something more positive. But the thing about Coreeda also is they believe that it's one of the oldest combatives in existence.
Yeah.
Roughly 10,000 years old is what they came up with, and they're basing this off of what they call dreaming. And I looked up what dreaming was because I was like, that's weird. And that's what the Aboriginal people refer to, basically cave drawings.
Yeah.
So like artwork, they called it dreaming. And so when they find these Aboriginal, indigenous people's artwork, it's referred to as like a dreamscape or whatever. And
they showed some of those paintings.
Yeah.
I can't say that I think that they were fighting in any of them.
No.
I mean, they could have been fucking doing anything. Like, there's just stick figures painted on a wall.
And they're like, those guys are, I think they're fighting.
Yeah, they're definitely they're fighting or they're fucking. One of the two. I don't want to practice fucking, so let's fight.
Well, the story that Coreeda comes from, where they believe that it initiated it, was there was this lizard man, and the lizard man was told by a giant snake to go watch the red kangaroo pups, essentially, and watch them fight each other.
Yeah.
And that's where you would learn to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did that, this lizard man, and then he showed the Aborigines how the kangaroos fought, and then they used it as an unarmed combat, essentially. In fact, they still use the kangaroo dance as a warm-up prior to the actual events.
They use it a lot like the white crew in Muay Thai because there's a winner to the dance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in Muay Thai, when they do the white crew, they're paying respects to their family, their country, their coach. That's why they face
and
north,
bow all the time. Yeah.
Each north, south, east, and west. Each direction that they face is like family, coach, or team, and whatever. Another, I think, really like whatever their religious beliefs are, and then so on and so forth. But so it's a little bit like that, and then when they do betting, because betting is very tied into Muay Thai.
Yeah,
like traditional Muay Thai, it's like rooted into it. You know what I'm saying? And so whoever does the Y crew better, usually that's kind of how the betting odds favor. And it's a little bit like that. Whoever does I don't know exactly how they choose a winner.
Right.
I saw them like swatting at each other's arms, maybe if they knock somebody down or if they display more athletic ability. Whoever the winner of that is controls the middle. Whoever is the loser is on the outside of the circle.
Right.
And then if the loser of the dance, the person, they're called the defender. I think that's the defender. If he is able to stay within the circle for 30 seconds, then he wins a point or wins that match. The person in the middle, his job is to try and get him out within that 30 seconds or pin him.
Yeah, I saw where they gave the comparison to capoeira and sumo.
Yeah.
Was one of the other
yeah, because pushing him out of the circle is a way to gain points. They mentioned too that the goal is not to necessarily harm or kill your opponent, but only disable them long enough for you to get away.
Yeah, and in my research that I was telling you about earlier, where it said that they actually utilized it not just as entertainment back in the day, right? They didn't just use it as entertainment. They used it as ways to settle disputes. You know, so if you had two male members of the tribe were having a dispute, rather than letting it go to the point where they would kill each other, they would let them do this. Right. And then the winner was the winner, you know, or it would just be, they were just pissed off at each other. And this was a way for them to vent that anger out, regardless of who won or lost. You know, it wasn't a competition. It was just these, you know what, these two people are pissed off at each other. Let's just let them fight each other.
Yeah.
And they would do that as a way to, and then they would use it as ways to bind other tribes. So they would do like intertribal competitions as a way to fellowship with the other tribes in the area. So, which was pretty cool. But it's pretty much a freestyle wrestling style. It doesn't, you know, it's like, it has some Greco ties to it. I think nothing really, like you said, they're not trying to rip the person's head off or cut arteries with knives and stuff like that. It's mainly just wrestling styles. Yeah.
The one of the things that I really appreciated about this style is the previous, what was it? Wichita martial arts. What was that?
Yeah.
Last Okichita.
Okichita.
Yeah, that one. We were noting that what he started creating that in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And we were making fun of him for it.
Yeah.
But the difference is he and that happened in Coreeda. It started becoming a sport in like 1998. The difference is that they're continuing to progress the sport through competition, and it was founded in competition. It, it was something that they're growing through testing over and over and over in competition. And I don't think that, as far as the information I got in the past martial art, it wasn't like that.
No, that was literally he was George Lapine.
Yeah,
was his name. George Lapinus. I think he was doing it for selfish reasons. He was quantifying it to a degree where he could make money off of it.
George Lapine, I offer a challenge right now to you. Whatever rule set you want to do.
That's right. No weapons. No weapons though.
But hand-to-hand
although
combat,
we do have a hatchet.
Yeah. We got our first gift for the podcast. We got a SOG axe, a little tiny axe. My friend Dalton gave it to us.
It looks more like the kind of axe you would use to climb a mountain.
Yeah, it does. I think it's like designed to it's got like a little pickaxe to break out windows. Mm-hmm. And he said he got it like his first day when he signed up to be a police officer. He thought he was going to be like,
I'm going to have to use this.
Breaking in windshields everywhere. And he pulls somebody over and runs up like, ma'am, I'm going to have to write you a ticket. You don't have a window.
You lost your window.
Been driving around without a window.
It was like that when I found it.
Yeah. But this seems to be, again, another parallel to Okechita, and this is that they have the permission from the elders. Is what they were saying. The Aboriginal tribes leaders or whatever are closely related to the progression of the competitions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there was another interesting thing. I'm trying to look up the guy's name. I think it was like, I'm not going to be able to remember it, but there was a MMA fighter that was one of the first like Aboriginal wrestlers that did something significant, but they're trying to push him to become more successful in MMA, get to the UFC so that they can kind of
push to the sport
because they're trying to get government funding for it. Oh yeah. And they don't yet. They're afraid that it's going to die.
That sucks.
Which is sad because like honestly it looks like a legitimate art. It's something for kids to get into and like get out energy and do something and
it has a tie to the history of Australia,
and it's applicable. Yes. That's the most important part to me, is like it's applicable. The guy that runs one of the guys that runs the program was an Olympic wrestler as well. So like that there's some legitimate wrestling in there. It
would be a really cool competition would be to because all the people, at least all the white people on Australia, got there because they were prisoners and whatever from England.
Yeah, they committed one of the 19 crimes.
Right.
Yeah.
So they most likely are very good at 52 blocks. And so then you would take...
Do you think that it was... I don't think that it was out then. Then... I don't know.
Well, I'm making a correlation.
Let me make my point.
Where you take 52 blocks versus Coreeda, because then now you have two indigenous style combatives that are separate on Australia, and then you fight them.
That would be pretty cool. Here's a question too, is that we talked about in 52 blocks they used handcuffs and shackles. They designed blocks and stuff because it's a defensive martial art. What if they designed offensive moves with shackles? Because I mean, dude, if I hit you with two clubbing arms with those big iron shackles on,
or get behind them and fucking choke.
Yeah, choke them.
Yeah,
all of that. There could be a legitimate, even 52 block. Well, that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
I got excited. I thought there was a separate martial art just for handcuffs.
You had just created your own.
I was like, whoa!
We should get into this.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can make it offensive handcuff fighting.
Oh yeah,
that'd be pretty interesting.
In my head, I already see a really cool, like if you were to be in shackles and you wrap the neck and then put your fingers together behind their head and push, dude, you totally choke them.
No Country for Old Men. The dude did that. Remember? Next time I work with the police, I'm gonna try it.
Do it. That guy was a badass in that movie too.
Oh, dude, that's one of the best villains I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Him and he goes in the same category as the Joker with the Dark Knight Joker,
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger
Yes.
Joker, because both of them, there is no rhyme or reason to anything they did. The only rhyme or reason for the guy from No Country for Old Men was the
To
coin.
get the money back. Well,
Yeah, he did want the money
He wanted
back,
the money
but
back.
like he was killing people all the way through that.
yeah,
The
for no
only-
reason.
And even up until when he was trying to get the money back, all he wanted was the money back.
Mhm.
He gave them all choices.
Yeah.
He left it up to chance.
Well, whenever the convenience store guy, and
Yeah.
he flipped the coin, and he told him to pick heads or tails, and the guy didn't want to do it. And then I think he picked heads, and it ended up being right.
Yeah.
And he gave him the coin. And my favorite part of that whole scene was when the guy just went to put it in his pocket. And he's like, "Don't put it in your pocket."
Yeah. That's
Because
a
he
special coin.
didn't understand the significance of what would have happened had he picked tails.
Yeah.
You know, like he's like that coin's the most important thing in your life now.
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Same scene when he says, he said, "I didn't put anything up." He says, "What are you talking about? You've been putting it up your whole life."
The light.
I was like, "Wow, that's pretty
Fuck.
good. That's a pretty good line right there."
Great movie.
Oh, there goes our camera.
Were you popping popcorn in a microwave?
No, it just died. Yeah, popcorn starts popping out of my camera. Whoa. Yeah, I really like this martial art a lot, though.
Yeah.
I think it's freaking cool.
Luckily we needed a rebound from the last one. The last one was fun to look into because it was fun to make fun of it, but it was good to find an indigenous martial art that was real,
Yeah.
and not some dude trying to have sex, finger bang chicks in the woods.
The verdict is still out on this guy,
It's true.
but I'd like to see. I didn't see much about like any kind of ranking or coding structure.
No, there was no coding or rank structure that I could find either. It was basically just competitive.
Wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a there's not even weight divisions. Or
They did
anything.
kind of have uniforms a little bit that look like sumo.
Yeah,
It looked like just big giant sashes between their butt cheeks.
that makes sense.
That was a really cool one though. I appreciate that one. And then you introduced me to a new rap artist.
Yeah, I found him by accident.
How long have you been listening to this?
I've heard their songs a few times. I just didn't know who they were because they've offered a lot of music to movies,
Yeah.
like the Deadpool soundtrack and stuff like that, and they've done collaborations with guys like Zach De La Roach from Rage Against the Machine,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had heard them accidentally, and then I don't remember what I was doing where I came across Nobody Speak. And
Run the Jewels.
Run the Jewels is the name of the band, the super group, I should say.
Who's it consist of? I don't know.
Yeah. So there's two rappers, and the way they met was actually kind of weird because they were both solo artists in their own right. One of them was from Atlanta, and the other one was from Brooklyn, New York. It's a white guy and a black guy, and not that matters.
What's their names? Because I wanted to talk about their chemistry, but I don't want to refer to them as white guy and black guy.
So you have LP, which is the white guy,
Okay.
and then Killer Mike is the
Oh,
black
Killer
guy.
Mike.
Yep. So Killer Mike's
Oh.
really well known.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel I liked the group. I did. This is more of like an artist review rather than an album
Yeah.
review. I really do like the group. They have great beats.
Yeah.
Fantastic beats.
Well, Killer Mike has, in my opinion, one of the best flowing style cadences.
And here's where I have a negative. I feel like his cadence, it's the same cadence all the way through the album.
Yeah.
The
angry white guy? Yeah.
The whole freaking time. Both of them. There's some decent hooks, but there's nothing that really breaks up the monotony to it. But like I said, I really liked it. I just don't think it has that listenability where I could listen to it.
That's why I wanted to do
Over
an
and over.
artist review as opposed to an album review because they have 3 albums, right? So and it's literally called Run the Jewels 1, Run the Jewels 2, and Run the Jewels 3. The name Run the Jewels is from an LL Cool J song, if I'm not mistaken. Ideally, it's supposed to be like stick 'em up. You know, like when you say Run the Jewels, like it's basically like a robbery.
Yeah.
And their symbol is a fist holding jewels and finger guns pointing at that. That's kind of their thing. But if you're a fan of like A$AP Rock or the Gorillaz,
Atmosphere. Have you ever listened to Atmosphere? Oh man, that's another one we got to do an artist review on.
oh yeah,
That guy that group invented what this style is in the 90s. Atmosphere.
Well, like Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Lil Dicky is another white rapper.
He's another one that has that same cadence.
Yep. And so if you're a fan of any of those artists, if you like, the reason I mentioned the Gorillas is because there's a few, they have Del the Funky Homo Sapien in a couple of their songs and stuff. And Killer Mike has a similar cadence to his. And so it's kind of like that.
I feel like the beats are a little bit along the same line too. It's very, it makes me think of like industrial.
It does have some industrial sound to it. Because the song Nobody Speak is probably one of their most famous ones. And it actually has almost a, what's that stupid techno that got really popular?
House
No,
music?
the one that got really popular in the past couple of years.
Oh, I don't know.
Dubstep.
Oh, dubstep.
Yeah, so it almost has like a dubstep break in the middle of the song, you know. But then that's why I wanted to do the artist review, because I went and listened to the albums, and they're good. There's not a lot of standout tracks. And so if to get people to go and check them out, I think this is going to be one of those things where they love the band, but it's going to mostly be like particular songs.
Yeah.
So my list would be Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck, which is an awesome name for a song.
Yes.
It's super popular. That one has Zach De La Rocha actually in that song. So he does the chorus for that song.
We ought to, speaking of Zach De La Rocha, he was in a band called Inside Out, which was a hardcore straight edge band before Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, really?
And I have their, do I still have their album? No, that album was stolen. I had a shit ton of CDs, stuff like Inside Out and all that, and it was stolen when I moved here. But anyways, that'd be an interesting review to do.
Yeah,
Inside
I would be
Out
down
on
for
Zach
that.
De La Rocha.
And the other song, Nobody Speak, which I've been mentioning a bunch of times throughout this whole interview thing. Legend Has It is another really good one. And then Blockbuster Night Part 1, Top of the Morning, My Fist to Your Face is Fucking Folgers, was a lyric from that. So the song itself is called Blockbuster Night Part 1. But Killer Mike has a cadence in there, and the lyric is Top of the Morning, My Fist to Your Face is Fucking Folgers. And I was like, that's fucking badass.
Yeah,
Because he's talking about like that's how he woke him, whoever he's talking to, he woke the motherfucker up by punching him in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're a fan of Lil Dicky, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Gorillas, and all that, I think that you would enjoy those songs. So definitely check those guys out. We're actually going to have them on the podcast.
Stupid. Us talking about this just opened up a whole new list of artists I think we should share. Atmosphere needs to be one of them, because that's like, that would be, that's like the pioneer of backpack rap. Do you know what backpack rap is?
No, I don't know.
Basically indie rap, like
Okay.
stuff kind of like that.
I probably have listened to it and just didn't know that that's what it was called.
Yeah, and it's I can't think of any other artists now. Aesop Rock is a backpack rapper.
Oh, okay. I like him a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you an art. We're gonna review. I'm gonna tell you now. POS
Okay.
is the guy. The album is Never Better.
Okay.
It's an older album, but it is, dude. It's freaking amazing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I go on Reddit a lot to the Listen to This subreddit.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of great artists that
There's
way.
like I do the same. There's another one that's called like hip hop heads or indie hip hop or something like that. That I follow. I find a lot of stuff on there like that.
I didn't realize that how stupid people get with naming a style of music.
Yeah.
Until I went on Reddit to the Listen to This subreddit, and like it's like there'll be people on there describing it, and it'll say like indie bluegrass metal.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But then you listen to it and you're like, oh,
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's like Rammstein with banjo.
Yeah. Right now, the music, well, you've kind of been into it, the math rock. They also call it Midwestern emo.
Yeah.
Which
like
is,
that's so
or Midwest emo or whatever.
that's and because not Space Cadet. What is his name?
Sleepy Dog.
Sleepy Dog. Yeah, Sleepy Dog. He's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think he came from American football. I think that's where it all started. American football. Have you ever listened to them?
No, but I know who it is. I know who you're talking about.
That's another really good one. Yeah, I think we should check out POS. Run the Jewels, though.
Run the Jewels, really good.
I feel like Killer Mike on his own, if Killer Mike had done that on his own and maybe had LP as a feature, it would have been, I would have been much happier with it.
They got introduced to each other through the Cartoon Network.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they did a deal where what's the name of that oh my God, I can't remember the name of the cartoon that comes on Adult Swim, but it's like one's a scientist and he's always got
Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
So they had contributed some music to that show, and
Okay,
that's how they
gotcha.
kind of met each other. And then they do a music video for one of their songs, and it's Rick and Morty are in it's like follows them through a mission, but it's the background is the music from Run the Jewels. So so really, like I said, they're kind of more of a super group than they really are, And they've got another album coming out called Run the Jewels 4.
Whoa.
It's already come out, actually. I shouldn't say that. It already came out. It's a couple of years old, actually. And so I think that's kind of their thing. They're just going to, it keeps you from having a name come up with album names.
That's true.
So
Did I tell you the early November came out with a new album?
I didn't even know they were still a band.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet.
I didn't know they were still a band.
I forgot I had seen them before. I saw
Really?
the early November live with Senses Fail and Not Say Anything.
Which is one of my favorite bands. Say Anything.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
That guy went fucking crazy.
What is that band? It's not The Starting Line. It's oh man, they sing.
Jack's Mannequin.
No, they sing the song. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to think of it. Son of a gun, dude. That's gonna drive me crazy. Anyways, it's a low. I can't think of it, dude. It's just
It's
right
all,
on the
were
tip
they
of
off
my
Drive Through Records? Because all the other
tongue.
bands
I
you named
think
were on Drive
they
Through
might have
Records.
been Drive Through or Fueled by Ramen. This song will become the
The Anthem of Our Dying Days. Is it Story of the Year?
No. I have seen Story of the Year.
Okay.
But this is a different song. This is a different band. It was like more of an emo band. Oh, dude, I have it saved on one of my playlists. I'm gonna look it up right now.
I want to think that I know what you're talking. Well, no, because when you started singing, I immediately thought you were singing a Story
I
of
think
the Year.
you will know who I'm talking about as soon as I find it here on my my Spotify, which it looks like we're gonna need to update our Spotify playlist because we just dropped like 15 new bands.
Yeah, we did.
But we'll have some rap on there now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so for those listening, don't forget that we do have a Rough and Tumble podcast playlist that Johnny and I just throw music on. Any music that we talk about during the podcast, we usually throw it on the playlist for you guys to go check it out. So it's a kind of a way to interact with us. It's just another way for me and Johnny to express ourselves creatively, which is why we started the podcast.
Force our opinions on you.
Yeah.
Oh, Saves the Day.
Saves the Day. Oh, yeah.
Damn
Easy
it.
one.
Jesus,
Easy
that was tough, man.
one. I'm pretty sure Saves the Day is on Drive Through.
Are they? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw it. Saves the Day, Senses Fail in the early November.
Yeah, they were all. The last early November album I even listened to show you how far out of the game I am was when he was doing the weird storytelling album.
That album was horrible.
It was really bad.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly afraid to listen to his newest one because of
Right.
that album.
Well, I mean, what do you do? Like Drive Through Record notoriously scooped up New Jersey bands that were in their teens.
Yeah.
Like that's what's going to happen. Like Senses Fail, the lead singer had like all kinds of like physical and mental breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And then
They're still making music though.
yeah, I'm sure, like I'm sorry that you're fucking sad about the fact that you're a fucking millionaire teenager.
Yeah.
God damn it. Get over it.
I don't think he's a millionaire.
He's not, but he's got solid $1,000.
Yeah. At least
He's
$1,000 more than I have.
Yeah, so exactly. If we were to compare bank accounts, that guy's got way more money than I do.
You know what always trips me out is there is a band.
I should look up their net worth.
I can't think of a single fucking band today. Skrillex.
Yeah, DJ Skrillex.
What was his original band?
I thought that was his original name.
Oh no. Damn it. Now I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Was it Dead Mouse? I
No,
don't
it's
know.
like Funeral.
So whenever I went through combat survival school for my job,
You met Skrillex?
I did meet DJ Skrillex. I met him in a way that I didn't want to meet him. And that was that when we were in the prison camp portion of the training, they would play DJ Skrillex on repeat.
Oh, that's horrible.
Super fucking loud.
From First to Last.
Oh, he was in that band?
Yeah, he was the lead singer.
Yeah, I used to listen to From First to Last. I thought those guys were from like Ohio or something. though, right?
Yeah, they had Wings of Pestilence
Yeah,
or whatever, and
yeah.
then they had the
I owned one of their albums.
Yeah.
From First to Last. I forget all about those
And now
guys.
he's like the dubstep,
I didn't even know that guy
pioneer.
was in that band.
right?
You
Isn't that
ever-
crazy?
the lead singer of Glassjaw went on to form Head Automatica.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah.
Totally separate. I was letting one of my buddies at the gym listen to Head Automatica because he's a big Glassjaw fan, and he was like, he's like, I can definitely tell that's him, but Jesus Christ, he's
totally
fucking different. Crazy
Yeah.
different, you know.
Here lately, there have been a lot of like the lead singer of Balance and Composure. Have you ever listened to them?
Just from what you've shared on
Yeah.
your Instagram.
He started SoundCloud rapping,
Oh my God.
and there's like a good handful of bands that their lead singer from like that era are starting to do SoundCloud rap, like the auto tune
Get out of town.
bullshit.
My
kind
son,
of stuff.
I make fun of my son because he posts these pictures of himself on Instagram, and like he lives in Colorado, and he comes and stays with me during the summers, and like I don't know who's taking these pictures. I don't know if it's his mom or if it's his girlfriend or just a friend. And I don't think my son listens to our podcast either.
Skylar,
Skylar, yeah.
I think he does.
Oh, even better.
He since we started doing the podcast, like he followed me on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Then he probably is then.
I was like, what's up, Skylar?
What up, Skylar? Skylar's a badass.
Yeah.
Like he's turned out like a pretty good
Yeah,
kid. so.
Skylar, you don't have to call me dad, but you do have to show me the same respect.
And but he'll post these pictures of like him at like these like caves and stuff in Colorado and stuff like that, and he's like not looking at the camera, you know.
Oh yeah,
And he looks like a bunch of SoundCloud rapper like
Yeah.
photos and stuff. So every time I would always comment on those, and I'd be like, "When's the new album gonna drop, B?" You know, and he's just like, "God damn it."
I think I'm getting old because like I see kids now, and I'm like, God damn it, I hate
know.
you. I hate everything that you're doing right now.
I know.
And I know that I went through. We ought to get our blunder year pictures on here. I went through a long black hair phase.
Did you?
Yeah. The emo swoop over
Actually,
the eyes.
since we talked about that, do you have a picture of that?
It's buried deep in that chest, the same chest that I got the Boy Scout stuff out of.
Well, then you need to pick it out because I have a picture of myself from high school.
Let's do that next episode. We're gonna put it
gonna
up.
do it.
We've got a. I know everybody can't see it yet. We're gonna have streaming one day. Donate to our Patreon, guys.
Yeah, donate to the Patreon so we can have money to get.
Yeah, a stream link. On our monitor, I can just throw up our Blunder Year pictures on our monitor.
I don't even know if mine would be a blunder year, man. Like I
Mine is Jesus.
I feel
Mine's
like
bad. I wore girl pants. I did the whole emo thing there for a little while.
yeah. Here we go. I had the butt cut.
Oh yeah.
I
You're just a little bit older than me, so you like your high school years were still the reminiscence of like the 90s
Yes.
kind of feel, the early 2000s feel. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely. I definitely would attribute most of what happened in the '90s to be still pertinent in my teenage years.
You graduated 99?
No, I graduated in 2001.
Okay. I graduated 2005.
Yeah,
So there's like not much of a gap, but just enough of a
it was.
gap that
I think there was enough generational gap for those 5 years. Obviously, not giant.
yeah. Well, look what's happened in the past 5 years.
I know,
You
that's
what I'm
my
saying?
point.
That would be a huge generational
That's
gap.
why I got pissed off whenever they lumped me and my generation into the millennial generation. I
See,
didn't agree with it.
I can't fucking stand the whole generational naming thing because of that. Because
Yeah.
like you can't categorize everyone like that.
You can't, but you can at least look at
You
like
can see trends.
Yes.
You can see some similarities.
because
but-
you had the baby boomers, then you had Gen X. I think Gen X was a pretty cool generation to be a part
But
of.
still, like they're labeled as lazy and they don't care and
Gen
stuff
Xers?
Like that. Yeah, because think about the whole '90s vibe, right? The Gen
Yeah.
Xers are like, oh, I don't care, and I'm just.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's kind of coming back now. It's very
Oh,
like
God, yes.
laid back, like oh whatever, bruh.
you
I'm
know
just gonna vape my jewel. It's got 50%
that's
Nick.
that. That's what I was going to get at. So my son's girlfriend vapes,
Yeah,
and every now and then, because I think I follow her, she follows me on Instagram. Word to the wise: don't follow your boyfriend's fucking dad,
yeah,
because then all the stupid shit you do, he gets to see.
yeah.
But whatever. But yeah, she'll have these videos of her doing all these vape tricks, and I'm like, oh my god, you look so
Stupid,
stupid.
yeah.
You look so dumb. That's like, why don't you go do kick flips with those scooters? You know, like
Yeah.
whenever people got really into those Razor scooters and we're doing like 360 spins on them and stuff, And it's like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, it's cool that you do that. And you're right. I can't do a 360 spin on a Razor scooter, but it's because I also like to have sex with girls.
Yeah.
Like,
I do things that matter.
I do real things, like put underwear on in the morning and brush my teeth. Like, both of those events are way cooler than anything that you could do on a Razor scooter.
Unless it's one of those new motorized scooters that you can ride through town.
People leave those things anywhere and everywhere.
Dude, Austin, we went to Austin and I rode them all over the place. I fucking loved it. But I would hate living there. It looked like,
Oh, yeah.
It was hilarious. It looked like the apocalypse of scooters just like fucking
These
dumped
scooter
on top of
graveyards.
Austin.
I found one at Westside, which
Oh,
is
really?
like,
That's awesome.
it's like 5 miles from downtown. Like, I assume that they were riding it to Disco or
Yeah.
to Trinity.
It's like the Wild West, dude. It's a great idea, but somebody's got to put like
Somebody's-
legislature.
Well, somebody
on
has to go find it and bring it back.
They have the people. They hire people that have trucks that come and pick
Oh,
them up
really?
to charge them and stuff.
Do they have like GPS trackers on them?
Mhm.
You just go, oh,
Yeah,
that's
and when
cool.
you drop them off, you're supposed to take a picture where you put it so that it approves that it's in a decent spot.
Oh,
And you did the right thing. But then they get knocked over by the wind or somebody
Yeah.
kicks it over or whatever.
I would 100% go and I would play a game with the city where I just find really fucked up places to leave those things.
Yeah.
Like on somebody's front porch in a really bad neighborhood.
We'd just see,
Yeah.
like, we were scooting around Austin. We'd just see, like, one of those scooters, like, in two pieces in the middle of the sidewalk. Or, like, old stack of 6 of them on top of each other.
That is so generationally, like what an asshole thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, like I still push my chair in at restaurants when I get done eating,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and these guys, like, that's just,
But it's also fucking hilarious to me.
it is hilarious.
Because I'm like,
but at the same time,
that's
it's
what you
like,
get for
God
living in
damn.
Austin.
I know,
you
right?
pretentious bastards.
Everybody in Austin is a pretentious piece of shit. I did a show and when I was in a touring band, we drove all the way to.
Speaking of pretentious, when I was in a touring band.
Your band almost got signed to a record label, right?
Yeah, but I didn't call it a touring band.
Well, I wanted to call it a touring band because it's the only thing I could think of. Because to use the word, I was in a good band wouldn't have worked out. And on one of the tours that we went to, we did a stop. We went through San Antonio on the way back, and we played at this place called. And I'm going to say this very slow, so that there's no confusion on what I'm saying. The name of the bar was Jiggers. Jiggers. Okay. Now it sounds worse that I broke it up into two
Yeah,
words.
it sounds worse that you put so much emphasis on it.
And so if anybody doesn't know what a jigger is, it's the bartending tool where they check, they put it on bottles to measure shots. So when you know
really?
that,
I didn't know that. Okay.
And so when you know that, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But when you're telling the story without that content, people think that you're just saying a bad word.
Who didn't think that, like, maybe this might get confused a little
Well,
bit?
probably somebody in the bartending community who was like, surely everyone's like, you know, like
I don't understand your reference. What's it sound like?
Exactly.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. And Brazilian Bruno it had a similar situation like that where, like, the word "God damn it," he didn't understand that there was certain places you can't say that.
Oh yeah.
And so,
That's like my favorite word. I say it everywhere.
I say it all the time too. My grandmother would beat my butt though if she found out or heard me say it. She believes that people who curse are doing it because they aren't intelligent enough to think of other words, which I agree. Mm-hmm. But a big piece of the reason I have such a potty mouth is because I've been in the military for 17 years.
I've also
and that's how we talk.
chosen not to be intelligent enough to use any more language.
But Bruno would use the word "God damn it" or "God damn" in restaurants at full volume.
Oh no.
Referring to, like, children, you know, like, and then because he came to Cabot to eat, and he was my daughter was there with us and everything, and my daughter was kind of crying and getting a little grumpy, and Bruno's like, "Just give me the goddamn kid." And I was like, "Oh, you said that really loud." And now everybody in the restaurant just thinks that there's some random Mexican trying to hold my kid, even because they don't know he's Brazilian. You know, I live in Cabot. Everybody in Cabot is a very particular type of person,
Right.
You know, and they're not used to seeing anyone who doesn't have the same skin tone as them.
We'll bring Bruno on here and he can say "God damn it" as much as
Yeah, he sure can. He's learned now. Well, and it's because we go around saying "porra" all the time. Like, we do it in a joking manner, but
Yeah.
you know, for those you don't know, "porra" in Brazilian basically means like "what the fuck" or whatever. You know, it has multiple meanings, and so I think he thought it was similar to that, where you could say it, and it wasn't a really bad word.
We should find a word to convince him means, like, something good, like clitoris. Yeah.
I guarantee he knows what that word is. He's got really good English, unfortunately.
We'll figure one out. Where as soon as he asks me what's that mean, I'm gonna go off on something.
Just wait for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's a very
It'll
old.
happen.
It's a very old wooden ship.
Whale's vagina.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun.
Absolutely hilarious.
Anything else exciting happen this week, this episode that we should talk about?
No.
I'm super excited about the momentum we have from the last episode.
I am too.
Everybody's been like hitting me up about it, telling us about how great it is. Keep fucking blowing up my ego, please. Tell me
really
how pretty
enjoy.
I am and how good I am at this.
I really enjoy seeing the people. I like hearing the suggestions. I like when people give us suggestions about what they want to hear us talk about.
I appreciate it too because it lets me know that people listen and they're paying attention to the stupid things that we're saying.
Because mostly what we provide zero intellectual value to anybody. Like nothing is value.
Even like when we're studying these martial arts, I don't feel like we're really giving it the full
No,
gravy.
I usually write my notes down while I'm driving to your house.
Yeah.
And like
I do put some effort into studying them, but
well, the thing is that we're just really skimming the surface of these things. We're not spending an hour talking about it. You know, we could have easily went into like all kinds of Aboriginal, Indigenous people and like tribe names and all that
true, we
stuff.
didn't get any names of like famous Coreeda fighters.
I didn't see any.
There's the MMA guy, but I'd like to see some like legendary.
Some legendary guys that are like known in the area. Well, when we're gonna have Kit Dale and Craig Jones on the show here soon, and whenever we bring them on, we'll ask them about Coreeda. We'll have them discuss it since they're both from Australia.
Yeah, it'll be episode 325.
Yep. So we'll tag Kit.
Keep an eye out for that one.
We'll tag Kit and Craig in this.
What if we get around to episode 325 and we're like, damn it.
Now we
haven't made
we
any
have to
contact
deliver.
with it. Yeah.
We would just what it was is that
I'll dress up like Kid Dale.
You dress up like Kit Dale and I'll speak with an Australian accent and no one will ever know.
There we go.
So I'll just be like, all right, Craig, so tell us how you got started. Well, mate, the way I got started was, and it's like, oh, that's interesting, Craig.
I can't do an Australian accent, so you're alone on that. I did get a suggestion of doing a rough and tumble invitational
Tournament? Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much my exact reaction.
You had it?
Yeah, I did the one. Oh, no, I didn't have the idea myself. Somebody else gave it to me.
We'll let Chris Carlino put it on for us.
Yeah.
And we'll just commentate.
We'll take all the credit for it.
What we should do is we'll put on the Rough and Tumble Invitational. We'll have Chris Carlino set it all up. And then we'll just sit at a table and talk shit about how shitty all the grappling matches are.
Yeah, Flow Grappling got like people tore them up about it. What if we just did that, but people knew ahead of time that's what we were gonna do?
Like they knew going into it. They're like, we're gonna talk shit about you guys, but we still love you.
We're gonna make fun of you the whole time.
Yep.
Oh,
if you win.
I did have a beautiful idea though. Instead of doing ADCC and boring shit like that, we need to do a
American Kennel Club
live stream of a rough and
get your head out of your ass.
Rough and Rowdy.
Rough and Rowdy.
Have you watched Rough and Rowdies?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, dude, I tried so hard to take my friend that we don't talk about to a Rough and Rowdy for his bachelor party.
Is it they have them around here?
They have them like Virginia, Kentucky. Oh. I mean, the lowest places you can think of.
Is it just like a
Louisiana, Shreveport?
That's God's country.
They even have comedians come on, like Bill Burr will be on as like a commentator.
Is it just people fighting?
Yeah, and they set up these stupid matches where it's like black guy versus racist, cop versus skateboarder, and it's like these people have no idea what they're doing. It's just boxing matches.
Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely no clue what they're doing. And the commentators are making fun of it the whole time. Like they're walking in, it's like, look at this fucking idiot. He's got like socks and Nikes on right now. Like, what's he doing? He's got basketball shorts on. And then there was a dude that like, it was incredible. He looked like he was on meth at that moment. And like he was fighting, turned completely around, turned his back to the guy while the guy's punching at him. As the other guy throws a haymaker, the dude turned around, just smiles, and just ducks underneath it. It was insane. I've never seen a move like it. and then got fucking creamed after that.
Do you remember the MMA fighter that shit his pants during the MMA?
Yeah. That's always been one of my biggest fears. Dude, if I get knocked out, just drag me to the bathroom.
I was nervous when I fought Eric at the Submission Hunter Pro. I had to shit really bad, and I kept having to go take a poop, and I was really concerned that was going to happen.
I have to pee before. It doesn't matter how many times I pee. I'm walking out, and I'm like, God damn it.
I was telling my buddy today, or no, I told him yesterday about when you went to take a shit.
Oh yeah, I got to tell that story now. I go to the bathroom whenever I had that competition at Sub Hunter Pro, and they had this big open event center, and we find
agricultural center. It was like a giant expo center,
big and open, very echoey, and we had found these private bathrooms off in the corner where there wasn't anybody going to. So I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna go in there, get my pregame out of the way. And I've got all the room and nobody's around to hear me, and I go in and I just ripped ass, and as soon as I started, somebody walked in the bathroom, and goes pee, and then comes out. As soon as I started ripping ass, I hear another guy that's waiting for the guy inside. He's outside of the bathroom and just goes, "Oh wait, oh no," and then the guy that's in the bathroom comes out and goes, "Man, that guy's ripping some ass." Like, he's just making the noises.
He's making sound effects for me.
Meanwhile, I'm in the stall, like, covering my head. Like, oh my God.
You're trying to find a way to make your farts quieter.
Hiding my shoes so they don't recognize me later. My house shoes.
I posted a picture on my Instagram that day of me taking my pregame dump.
Yeah.
And Mark Miller came on and all he said was, "Idiot."
That's a very serious thing, the pregame poop.
It is serious. And
you got to do it.
I don't understand why farts are so much louder when they're in an empty bathroom.
Yeah.
Because
it resonates.
It resonates. Like, it's like the perfect scenario. And this made me think of a time where the only time I've ever peed my pants, I was a kid, so it doesn't count. But so I used to be in special ed, and I don't know if we're allowed to say that. So that's why I'm allowed to say the word retard, and you're not, because I was a retard.
Were you really in special ed?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was retarded.
No, you're not.
I was. I didn't say I am. Special ed fixed me. I really was in special ed.
Riding the short bus cured you?
No. Now you've got the wrong idea.
The fact that we didn't have all
it's
that
people like you that give us a bad name.
The fact that we didn't have all that extra bus to worry about really made me settle into myself.
No, so it was when I was like in the third grade. I used to have to go to special classes with math because I sucked at math.
Oh yeah, I need to go to those now.
And so I had to pee super bad. And I grew up in a really poor family, and so most of my clothes were hand-me-downs from like cousins and stuff. And I don't know if you remember Rustlers. No. They were like Levi jeans, but tighter and mostly made of cardboard. And so I was wearing these pair of Rustler jeans. And Rustler jeans, if you don't know this, when you pee in a set of Rustler jeans and a pair of Rustlers, they're not coming off. Yeah, and on top of that, there's like some weird chemical reaction that happens in those. And then like the whole pair of pants just gets tighter and smellier. And so I'm sitting in this computer class where they're teaching me how to do regular math because I was doing retarded math before. And I remember the lesson was less than greater than.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's still the way that I remember less than greater than is because the alligator opens his mouth to the bigger number.
Yeah.
So that's greater than.
Yeah.
Right?
Or Pac-Man.
Nope. I don't know what school you went to, but in the classes that I took, it was an alligator.
Because you were in Louisiana.
Because, yeah.
That's the only thing that you guys could understand.
I didn't even put that correlation together. But I had to piss super bad. And I mean, when in Louisiana, they didn't treat retarded people very good. And so
I was out in the swamp with the alligators.
I was afraid to ask the teacher to go to the bathroom. So my theory was I'll let a little bit out. It'll evaporate.
Yeah.
I'll let a little bit more out. It'll evaporate. And I'm going to do this over the course of an hour. And then next thing you know, no more pee-pee. Well.
You were retarded.
I should have been taking... You can see that my science wasn't on point either.
Oh, God.
I was under if I had known that it took longer than 30 seconds for pee to evaporate, I never would have come up with this plan. And so any guy out there will tell you that when you've got to piss, I'm sure chicks can tell you the same thing, but like when you start going, you're not stopping.
Yeah.
And so I went a little bit, like the first piece was on point. Like I was like, it was like the plan was going according to plan. So I let a little bit out and then I sucked it back in. And I was like, this is going to be easy. And then so like I put my hand down there. I'm like, fuck, it's still wet. I'll just wait a little bit longer. And I was like, fuck, it's still wet. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just let a little bit more out. And then it just never stopped.
Yeah.
And I filled the entire chair and my pants up with piss.
Good.
Worst part.
Good job.
Good for you.
Strong stream.
And so they sent me to the office and they were like, well, you need to call your mom. And I was like, I don't know what my phone number is. And then, because we didn't have cell phones and stuff. So
Don't you know I'm in the special classes? I don't know. I had to go there for math. You think I've memorized my phone number?
they were like, well, what are your parents' names? And I was like, Mom, Dad? I don't know. I didn't know they had regular names.
They just call me God damn it.
They just call me God damn it. Yeah. Mitch pissed his pants again.
God damn it.
And so it turned into this huge debacle because I'm standing in the office with these pee pants on, and they didn't. Now most schools have extra pants in case these things happen.
Yeah.
And then I'm there with the administrator, and she's like, "Well, do you have any family here in this town?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got cousins." Well, they had different last names than me, and I didn't know that. So they're looking for halls in the phone book and calling them, randomly calling other halls in the phone book, and they're like, "We don't have a kid like that. I don't know who that is." And they're like, well, he peed his pants.
It was your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have a kid like that. A special one? No.
They eventually got a hold of my mom or somebody, and then I got picked up or whatever. But yeah. And then I got in trouble for peeing my pants.
That's bullshit.
It was bullshit.
You should never punish a child. Did you know I was a preschool teacher?
For how long?
For a long time, actually. About 4 years.
What?
Yeah.
What made you quit?
Honestly, I was invested too much in it. I couldn't stand that they would hire just anybody.
Yeah.
You can be the only requirement is a high school education.
Mm.
And so and there were these people who were, like a girl's like, well, I have 6 kids. I can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
That's how they get jobs at daycares
doesn't mean you're
too.
good at it. You know, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one of my talents, I have a couple of talents where you're just like, why do you have that? Is kids. Dude, I just like, I can make a kid do whatever I want to. I'm like
context.
No, like they listen to me and they respond to me, and like I'm just really good with kids. I don't know why, probably because I am one. But
that's most likely. That I get along great with kids too, and it's not just because I have 6 kids, which I really do have 6 kids.
Yeah.
That's not why. It's kids are just easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to make them laugh, and kind of you can use really weird manipulation techniques to get them to behave and do things you want. Whereas adults, you have to spend a lot of time explaining your plan to them to get them to buy in.
Yeah.
With kids, you just have to say, I'll give you a piece of candy.
Yeah, or make it a game.
Make it a game.
Yeah.
Again, context. I get it.
It's now kids have always been just like one of my fortes. I'm really good with kids. Anyways, one of the things that you're not supposed to do with children when you're potty training them is punish them for having an accident, because then you're going to think next time you have to go to the bathroom, you're like, oh my God, you're going to get so stressed out about it. You're going to hold it in, and then you're going to end up having an accident anyways.
Yep. I totally agree, man.
Yeah. So for those of you that need parenting advice,
I think the reason I got in trouble was because I was still peeing my pants in 3rd grade.
Oh yeah, I did
which,
that too. I like wet the bed till I was like 13.
I didn't. You know, they say serial killers, that's a trait of serial killers is late bedwetting. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's other pieces that go into that too, but
yeah, I only like hung a couple cats in my backyard and
I think there's a statute.
Cut their like belly out. So, I'm just kidding.
My friend was telling a story about his daughter, but all he said was, I have a 15-year-old and they're hard to deal with. And I was just like, is she your daughter? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. I was like, look, man, I'm not trying to tell you.
I'm not
you
judging.
just said you had a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it in your basement?
There's like sex trafficking in Little Rock going on right now.
Are you looking to sell it?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing here?
What if I have a 15-year-old and they're hard to deal with? $1,000, I'll take that off your hands.
some dude walks up and is like, how much you want for
I
it?
heard you talking about that 15-year-old.
Word in the street is you have a 15-year-old.
Sex trafficking is not funny.
It's not funny.
But
how can we really progress if we can't learn to laugh about it?
That's true. Do you think that South Park has a theory that anything is okay to make fun of after 10 years?
I could, well, so I don't know.
Because they have an episode specifically where they waited
10 years
10 years to make fun of 9/11.
I've got to watch that.
And I think they did it like a couple months early, but they did it to get rid of Snooki and like their Jersey Shore or something like that.
That's hilarious.
They got Osama bin Laden to.
You know,
The
speaking of,
Republicans would be happy now hearing me calling Osama bin Laden Obama.
oh boy,
Mix that one up. Whoops, Freudian slip.
So something that you talked about, is it okay to talk about something or make fun of something that 10 years later or whatever, even if it was traumatic? It always made me think about the fact that, you know, when we talk about Genghis Khan, what do we talk about? We talk about how he was an incredible military tacticianist.
And like everybody's related to him.
And everybody's related
like
to
the
him.
number one fact about Genghis Khan.
Yeah, but he was like a great military mind.
Yeah.
You know, he was a phenomenal warrior. You know, he also decimated like half the world's population. Like he was a piece of shit. He was a terrible
I've heard
person.
different stories about that. I've also read that he would a lot of them he would give a chance. Like he would,
Which is still terrible.
one of the reasons that he was able to create such a massive army was the places that he captured.
He would give him Well, the
into his
Persian did that
military.
too.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a better life or not, but
At least you got to live.
yeah.
But my point is that when we think of Adolf Hitler, right, it's still too soon. But
Yeah.
there will come a time when they will teach about Adolf Hitler, and they will, in the same sentence that they refer to a phenomenal public speaker,
Orator, yeah.
Military tactician. The dude took over half of Europe, like almost half the world.
Be careful with this conversation. So
I
I
agree.
have a funny, not a funny story, but I have a friend, and I'm not going to mention any names, but they were on a TV show, a reality TV show. I'm not even going to go that deep because that would tell you who I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
They were on a reality TV show, a really big one. It was a game show, and he made a couple jokes during the TV show. Well, it's something that people are able to watch 24 hours. So jokes that you and I would make, even jokes that you and I make on the podcast, on live television are completely unacceptable.
Right.
Because you have these fucking weirdos that watch, and they were having a conversation. When you're locked in these places for 24 hours for 3 months at a time, you have a lot of fucking conversations. They were having the conversation of great speakers. He brought up, you know, as much as the shitty things that he's done, Hitler was a great orator. He was a great speaker. That's how he was able to do all the shitty things that he did. So then anytime you Google this person's name now, it comes up that he's a neo-Nazi.
See, that's so fucked up. You know, and the thing is that I get irritated by the whole neo-Nazi thing because it's weird when you have people who are praising an individual who would have no doubt also murdered them and their families. You know what I mean? Like they're giving this sense of respect to an individual who, if given the opportunity, would have killed them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, but no, to clarify, I do not support any of the atrocious things that.
It's stupid that we have to say stuff like that.
It is stupid that we have to say
Because,
stuff like that because it should be obvious that that's not what I was referring to.
And here's what the problem. Here's the number one problem with it is like when you. So the reason that comes up on the internet is because somebody wrote a blog about it, saying that so and so said this, and this happened, and because they want more clicks, they title it a certain way, and they're not realizing that they're legitimately fucking these people's lives.
100%.
He couldn't get a job for 3 years after that, and had to create his own business in order to survive because of that. Because anytime somebody heard his name or found out that he was on this TV show, what's the first thing that you're going to do when you hire somebody? You Google him.
Yeah, of course.
And so what are the first things that come up under his Google name?
He's a Nazi.
Horrible things that's not true about the person.
Yeah.
Only because he was being funny, he was talking with his friends and like
Tell you what,
doing
man,
that stuff.
You build 1,000 bridges
Yeah.
and you fuck one goat.
It's this woke culture.
I know, dude. It's super unfortunate, and like you said, it is fucked up that nothing that I said a second ago would even hint that I supported anything.
Right.
But the wrong person at the wrong time hearing
all it
that.
takes is like somebody trying to do the right thing and giving us exposure, write a blog about it. Mitch said this about
Yeah,
Nazis.
he said that he was a great public speaker. Well, you know what? He fucking was.
Yeah.
He was. That doesn't mean that I support the fact that he murdered hundreds of thousands of people, right? But, you know, from a military perspective, you have to give some. I mean, Napoleon Bonaparte was a piece of shit too.
Yeah, you have to learn things from those people.
Yes, that's the point.
Or
else history repeats itself, and that's when you get guys like Kim Jong-un.
I was just about to say that, and I didn't want to be
okay.
cliche.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, you know, we're look at Iran right now, North Korea, which is somewhat coming.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Yeah.
You know, like all that shit's happening again. You know, and it's going to come full circle at some point.
Different order.
That's it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we're right at 2 hours.
Beautiful.
About time to wrap this up. This is a longer episode than our last one. Our last one was only an hour. And I don't think I'll have to edit this one either.
I hope not, because
we are getting better at this. It's time for us to start looking for
sponsors.
That's not what I was going to say, but yes, sponsors as well. More money, baby.
We should probably talk about that. We have sponsorship opportunities.
On the table.
On the table.
They're out there.
If anyone is interested in sponsoring an episode,
we would love.
Let us know.
We would love to do that.
And we have reasonable rates.
And be creative about however we can shout you out.
We would make a commercial for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you would get to hear us talk about it on the show. Johnny and I don't make a dime off that. Well, I don't make any money off this podcast. I don't know about Johnny.
I don't make any yet.
There's no money. Even if we did start making money, we've always made an agreement that the podcast gets the money. So that we can provide more and more content.
Don't get me wrong. It'd be awesome for us to be able to make money doing this. Because Mitch has the drive here and I need a new car. I almost got a VW Bug this weekend.
You should have gotten a VW.
Dude,
what year model?
Like the new ones.
Oh, okay, so
like
it wasn't
like a sorority girl.
It wasn't.
The old ones would be cool.
Ted Bundy style.
Yeah, the new ones would look like a sorority girl. Like my girlfriend's car. But yeah, so keep pushing that Patreon, keep subscribing to there, and we're gonna keep pushing some legitimate techniques. I posted some techniques that I don't feel.
Mine was legitimate.
Well, that's debatable.
Mine was.
It's never worked on me before. No, Mitch's was legitimate. Mine wasn't. You can guess what it was. But we'll be posting more stuff that's legitimate techniques and some just different random stuff. Pretty much anything creative we want to throw out there.
We're coming up with possible skit ideas as well. You know, and for what people don't realize is Johnny and I both look for creative outlets, you know, whether it be music and you can tell by listening to the podcast. I mean, we talk about music, we talk about art, we talk about dicks, we talk about martial arts. You know, those are all things that we're both really, really interested in.
Really passionate about.
Super dicks. Passionate about them dukes. D-U-C-K.
Yeah.
That spells duck. I was trying to spell duke.
Did you just autocorrect yourself?
I did. All this ducking stuff going on around my life.
Ducking autocorrect.
But the skit thing, the skit ideas, hopefully we can start providing those to Patreon as well.
Yeah.
Johnny and I really only give a shit about making each other laugh, and it turns out other people think it's funny too.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. The thing that's funny though is I don't know what I was gonna say. There's nothing that's funny. No. It's not funny anymore. We're not funny.
We actually have lost all the
our Patreon. We want you to be on there.
They got super dark for a second.
I was like gazing off into.
I felt like that was the part where Johnny starts to give up on life.
I got depressed that I lost my train of thought again. I was getting down on myself.
Everybody witnessed that moment where Johnny decided to take his own life. And he's just. And his name is John C.
That's how we're gonna recover from any dull moment.
That was so funny. Like, I've never heard that happen in real life. Where like, you're like, oh, sorry guys, I'm back. I went to a dark place for a second.
It's into a deep depression in about 10 seconds.
It's just like, no, it's not funny. Nothing's funny anymore. Actually, I was like, what the fuck? What just happened?
Our Patreon. Content on there. We're gonna put out more. Instagram, we want,
or maybe we won't. I don't know if Johnny's gonna be here next
Fuck
weekend.
I don't even care anymore.
Like, now I gotta start doing buddy checks on Johnny.
I do. Okay, I did have a reason. I caught my train of thought again. we're working on t-shirts.
Yeah, we are.
We have two issues. If anybody knows how to get a cheap tax ID legally, let us know.
Yeah,
because we've been looking
$200 and
into
something dollars.
Yeah.
Fuck you, IRS.
the only way we can figure out how to do it is if we get like an LLC, which is going to cost us $277.
Which we don't want to do.
No.
So if anybody out there knows how to get a tax ID number, because we want, like you said, we want to start selling merchandise. We
want to sell merchandise online.
Online.
We'd like to have a store for you to purchase.
Yes.
stuff
So to make that legitimate and make it legal, we have to have a tax ID number so that we can actually do taxes and stuff. So, which I never thought that we were going to start a podcast and start doing taxes.
Oh, I know. That's crazy.
Well,
I just don't do taxes.
you know, we talked about this on the last episode, speaking of taxes, where we're like, if you would you suck a dick for $1 million if it was tax free?
Yeah.
And then I still want to know where all these dudes are that are asking people to suck their dick for $1 million.
Me too. Where
Like,
are they?
Where are they at?
Like, I need a phone number and an address. Like,
We've all said,
where are they?
Maybe you could do like a geocache,
Yeah.
and it's just houses of dudes who are willing to give you $1 million to suck their dicks.
You just walk down the street.
That'd be
looking
the
for one,
longest day of my life.
just waiting for that $1 million to show up.
Dude, if they did a geocache where it was just GPS locations to people's houses that would give you $1 million to suck their dicks, I'd put in a solid 12-hour day. You're like, I wouldn't even clock out. I would just put it in. I mean, you think about it. After once you suck one guy's dick, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then you suck another
I've been
dick.
basically sucking dicks for my whole life and haven't gotten any
free.
fucking money. Yeah.
If you suck 2 dicks, you're a multi-millionaire. You could become a billionaire if you played your cards right.
Yeah.
What you have to suck 999 dicks though, I think.
Is that the correct math?
999 million.
Yeah, you'd have to.
And then you'd get that one dick would put you into the billionaire status.
A thousand dicks. There's somebody out there that's done it.
That sucked 1,000 dicks?
Yeah. There's porn stars for sure that have done it.
Can you imagine? That's so many dicks.
Didn't that one guy get
I don't know,
throat
Johnny.
cancer?
I don't know. I know that there was a guy in Washington that died because he let a horse fuck him in the ass,
Oh yeah, I've heard about
and
that.
it destroyed his internal organs.
There was an actor, the guy from
Good for him, though.
There was who was the guy that was in the White House TV show, The West Wing?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Douglas?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
I think he got like throat cancer because he like going down on girls too much or something.
That's not true.
No,
That can't be right. That can't be right.
No, it totally is. That's what happened. He enjoyed the vagine too much. And
That's
so
funny.
He got throat cancer.
Well, you know what they say. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. What if you got throat cancer from sucking dick? Oh, well,
an occupational hazard.
You're a billionaire, so
Yeah.
whatever. I prefer to call it dong huffing.
The best dong huffing. The best part about that is that like you'd have to make a celebration because when you're one dick away from being a billionaire, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah. You'd have to have like a countdown.
you'd have the countdown to it. Yeah, yeah.
And you'd post it daily on your Instagram. 2 more days till I'm a billionaire, guys. If you ever just see that on my Instagram stories, you know what's happening.
Or Johnny's now taking a black and white photo sitting over a horse trough naked.
Oh my God, yes.
With his diggly bits almost touching the water.
I'm kind of mad at myself that I never saved those photos, but I had to get it off my phone.
I'm kind of mad that you didn't at least show up to the guy's house to see what he had to say.
I was like afraid that those pictures were gonna haunt me and like follow me. Somehow he was gonna track me.
Just like your buddy about the neo-Nazi thing. You'd never be able to get a job. They
Yeah.
would Google you and it would just be you with...
Just be horse trough penis.
Oh, that water better be deep.
So our Patreon, and then our iTunes. We need to. We just our last 2 episodes were the first ones that were released on iTunes. So we need a lot of listens on there and some reviews and rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's really big. I know that helps us kind of move up in the rankings on iTunes. And I haven't actually. I tried to review and rate it, but I haven't figured out how to be able to do that.
I just clicked on review.
Did you do it on your computer?
No, I did it on my phone.
See, I've been trying to do that on my phone. You're gonna have to show me later.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Through the podcast app?
No, I went to yeah. Well, no, I went through the iTunes yeah. That purple icon.
Yeah. See, I've been trying to do it through there and I can't.
Just click on it. I'll show you later.
Just click it. That's all we
You
gotta
just
do.
gotta click on it, and then it'll ask you what you want your nickname to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay,
That's why
so
I put what I put.
if you don't know how to do it, message Mitch, and he'll walk you through it.
I'll walk you through it for a nominal fee.
For a nominal fee. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and Spotify, like we said before. Please follow us on Instagram. Like we said, we got 100 followers. We need to keep that. We need to keep those numbers going.
Now our new goal is 200 followers.
200 followers. Let's go. I got to post more content on there, though. I'm kind of bad about that. So you guys, if I don't post anything, start sending me messages yelling at me.
I'm still trying to learn how to use Instagram.
Yeah.
Like you taught me something on Wednesday whenever you were showing me like how to put those
the little stickers
on there. I didn't know how to do that.
Did you know that you're still signed into the Rough and Tumble Google, and I see your search history and YouTube history whenever I sign into
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, you saw where I looked up Coreeda.
Yeah, I did too on our thing, but then I forget that I'm signed into it all the time too. And then I see like all this dumb military shit.
It's true.
Look, the best way to fire your AR-15 right up your butthole.
And that's where Johnny and I are different.
Yeah. I don't even know if what I said is a real
I got to sign out of that thing.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about how you could see my porn searches.
No, I'm not that brave.
God.
Yeah. No, I'm not that brave. Anyway, so that wraps it for episode 6. Let us know your thoughts and feelings just in general in life. We love everybody that supported us. Thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Bye.